I love Dopey in all of its manifestations, the podcast, the social media, the Zoom, Foundation and Nation. I love the tales of addiction, recovery and dumb shit. I love every bit of the humorous debauchery and debaucherous humour. I love the friendships that I've formed. I love how the dopes who have passed are remembered and honoured. Toodles for Chris. I love knowing that I am part of something that's making a difference. I love the wise-cracking silliness that can turn on a dime to compassionate, wise advice whenever needed. I love the junkies, the normies, the alcoholics, the gamblers, the tweakers, the stoners, the trippers, the freaks, the geeks, the degenerates, the debauched, the damned, the demented, the helpers, the self-harmers, the harm reductionists, the 12-steppers, the overeaters, the undereaters, the rotten, the forgotten, the butt-pluggers, the pickleballers, the religious, the spiritual, the agnostics, the atheists, the crazed, the recovered, recovering, still struggling, still in action, and the dearly departed loved one dopes. Toodles for Chris. I love Dopey.
You feel like no one understands your affliction. When you feel like no one's home, so alone in your addiction. Well, if your dealer lives left, then put your headphones on and walk to the right. 'Cause there's a nation out there, keep you safe, keep you clean. At least for tonight. So pay attention, Dopey Nation, the afflicted wanna reminisce. Pay attention, Dopey Nation, for our fallen brothers Todd and Chris. Life seems like a curse, put the hearse in reverse. Put a smile on your face at last. So pay attention, Dopey Nation. It's time for the Dopey Podcast. Stay strong, Dopey Nation. Time for Dave and the Dopey Podcast.
This episode of Dopey is brought to you by our very good friends at Oro Recovery. It's located in sunny Southern California. It was founded by our friend Bob Forrest and his friends Evan, Jared, and Bob. Their mission, their plan, to create a treatment center that helps addicts and alcoholics by using compassion and connection instead of control. Their staff has decades of experience in treating co-occurring mental health disorders, including SMI. Connection and compassion are great ways to deal with affliction and addiction. So if you're fucked and you're looking for a place to go, I have to suggest Oro. Everyone that I know that has been to Oro only said good things. And I would never say that if it wasn't true. If I was to relapse, that would be where I would go, 100%. They have amenities you wouldn't believe. Fucking sound bath meditation, equine therapy, surfing, and of course, the spiritually potentially transformative sweat lodge. You ever been to a sweat lodge? Spiritually transformative, I have to say. Their fucking detox is incredibly effective, and you detox as comfortable as you ever could detox. So if you're fucked and you're willing to go to sunny Southern California to get help, I totally suggest going to Oro. Check them out at ororecovery.com. This episode of Dopey is also brought to you by our very good friends at Sober Buddy. Sober Buddy is an amazing sober platform. It started as an app and now it is a platform. What's a platform? It's a place that you can go online and connect with addicts and alcoholics. They do, I think, 12 Zooms a week. I host a Sober Buddy Zoom on Wednesdays. It's actually incredibly inspiring and amazing. Sober Buddy is very inexpensive for the month. I think it costs the same as you might spend on 2 coffees. And it's a lot of support. And it's a lot of fellowship. And it's actually fun. So if you want to check out Sober Buddy, you go to yoursoberbuddy.com or go to the App Store or the Google Play Store. Get Sober Buddy. If you want to check it out, there is a free trial, and it's totally fun. I totally suggest checking it out. And I wouldn't say totally this many times if I didn't mean it. This episode of Dopey is also brought to you by our very good friends at Evolution Accounting and Consulting. It's tax time, everybody. Do you have an accountant? I have to suggest Evolution Accounting and Consulting. Eric and the team over there want to help you. They know what they're doing. Their dream is to help entrepreneurs, business owners focus on what they love so that Eric and the team at Evolution Accounting and Consulting can do what they do, which is take care of business. Eric and the team at Evolution Accounting and Consulting is a full-service accounting firm. They do everything from taxes to bookkeeping, payroll, and any other business need you might have. Perhaps the most important thing, though, is that Eric is a fucking crackhead. Fortunately, he's been in recovery for years, so he knows the struggle as well as the success. Use the promo code DOPEY when you connect with them at www.evolution-accounting.com. Again, the Dopey code will get you special discounts. It's tax time. Get in touch with Evolution. This week's episode of Dopey also wouldn't be possible without the love and support from this amazing man named Nat and his incredible podcast called Recovery in the Middle Ages. It's a podcast about two middle-aged suburban dads and their pursuit of life, love, and recovery. Listen as they discuss current topics of interest to the recovery community, including 12-step recovery. Sometimes they talk about Dopey. Sometimes they talk about medical research, books. It's about recovery. They cover it. And their daily struggle to maintain their recovery and anonymity in the world of soccer moms and PTA meetings. If the neighbors only knew. Check them out at recoveryinthemiddleages.com, or I think they also have middleagesrecovery.com, and of course, they're available wherever you get your podcasts. This episode of Dopey is also brought to you by The Phoenix. What is The Phoenix? It's an incredible organization that helps addicts and alcoholics in recovery. Their mission is fun, fun, fun. That's all they care about. Addicts and alcoholics in recovery coming together and trying to have fun. Whether it's a class at the gym, a concert, Dopey is super excited, and I speak on behalf of Dopey. I am super excited to work with The Phoenix. If you have 2 days clean or sober, you are eligible to go to a class with The Phoenix. Check them out at thephoenix.org/find-a-class or at thephoenix.org/movement. We are doing a lot of stuff with them. We're going to do a Zoom with them soon. I think we're going to do a huge event in New Orleans, which I'm super excited about. And I'm going to reluctantly go CrossFit training in Brooklyn with Chris Spallina from The Phoenix. So check out thephoenix.org/movement. You will be happy that you did. And one more time, The Phoenix is free. So you might be annoyed that you're listening to this ad, but these are things that you can pursue for nothing to enrich your life. So check out that stuff. And now enough with the ads. Here's the show. Hello and welcome to Dopey, the podcast on drugs, addiction, and other dumb shit. My name is Dave. I am in my dining room with you-know-who, Fentanyl Jay, right back at you. How you feeling, Jay?
I'm feeling good. I wish we had the soundboard for the fucking claps.
I don't want to get into the technical reason of why we're not using it.
Okay.
This is a much safer way to do the show.
Okay, safer.
Now, Jay.
I'm all about safety.
If anyone knows anything about you, here, what are the highlights about you? If someone's never heard Dopey before,
never.
What do they need to know about you to know the story?
The story?
Yes.
Oh God, what do they need to know
or about you?
me?
You. It's what it's today. Today's March 8th. What do people need to know about Jay, aka Fentanyl Jay, March 8th, 2023?
That I am like a mushroom.
Do you watch the show The Last
I'm
of
a
Us?
fun guy.
Do you watch The Last of Us?
No.
Oh, Jay.
Is it a must?
It's a must.
I've been watching Snowfall. Have you watched that?
No, but
All about smoking crack.
The Last of Us is all about a zombie apocalypse.
Okay.
Brought out because ants, right? Some ants, when they eat some mushrooms, they turn cannibalistic. And somehow the virus mutates into the humans. They become mushrooms and they attack.
No.
And they eat you.
Wait.
This show is fucking the greatest, but that's not what we're not talking about.
Wait. They become
mushroom zombies.
Mushroom zombies.
And they bite you.
Are
and
they
then you
growing mushrooms on their skin?
Yeah. And
literally.
their heads become mushrooms.
Literally.
They're terrifying.
This is a cartoon or this is real life?
HBO.
HBO put this out?
It's the thing. It's actually based on a video game, I understand.
HBO put this out.
You have to see it, but let's get back to you're a fun guy. I figured that was a Last of Us reference, but no. You're a fun guy. I'm going to do it for you.
All right, go
I don't
ahead.
trust you to do this.
I'm not good.
Jay is a horrible drug addict from this town that we're in right now.
Shout out to Sayville.
Shout out to Sayville. Did you hear my dad shout you out on the show?
No, fuck no. What do you mean?
At the end of the the 400th episode, you were not around because you were in the middle of the relapse that we're about to go into.
Yeah.
I don't want to rush with that. But I asked my dad because I had you on the show all the time, kind of in my dad's spot, the finishing spot.
Oh, really?
And I said, Dad, what do you think about Fentanyl Jay in your spot? And
fuck. Did I take Al's spot, dude?
Well, he was in Antarctica.
Okay.
He says, well, I don't like that he sells fentanyl. And I said, Dad, he hasn't sold fentanyl in years. And he goes, really? And I said, yes, really. And I had to explain that you stopped selling fentanyl years ago. How many years has it been?
I'm going on 2.
So maybe Fentanyl Jay
like
isn't
a
good name for you.
Like a year and 8 months.
Maybe he used to sell fentanyl.
Maybe X-Fetty J. I don't know. XF. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
The name is
Fentanyl
good.
just rolls. Yeah.
Sounds good. Anyway, and then my dad, after he understood what I was saying, because I once worked for a guy who said to me, once a junkie, always a junkie.
True.
Which bothered my dad.
Whatever, I'm sure
he's
it
saying
would.
Once a fentanyl dealer, always a
fentanyl. Oh, did you flip that on him?
Yeah, I did.
Fuck yeah.
And then he said, okay, Jay seems very sweet. In fact, shout out to Fentanyl Jay.
Fuck. My heart just fucking turned pink and purple, bro.
Sung. Anyway, Jay was an addict. Jay was a horrible drug dealer. Jay got busted. Jay got sober.
I wasn't a horrible drug dealer.
I mean, you were you dealt a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
Horrible drug dealer meaning a very proficient drug dealer.
Yeah.
You were horribly proficient. So fucking he got busted. Fucking went on a
tear. A fucking tear. Ripped it real hard. Fucking had the ankle monitor on, fucking snipped it off, got my fucking everywhere got raided, got everything fucking impounded, fucking everything's in evidence right now. If I'm innocent, I can get it back.
You're not. Are you innocent? Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay. So
then I fucking went. Fucking lawyers are like, dude, you're fried. Because then I had cases over in New York now, cases over here. Cases in Florida, cases in Ohio. Yeah. I'm fucking fried all over the country now. And he's
Florida's
like,
taken care of.
Florida
right?
took care of business.
New York
took care of business.
So all that's left
is Ohio.
Yep.
And no, I took care of business everywhere. I had a case in California.
But that's
also took care of business.
Ohio's the last case pending.
Yep.
Jay relapsed so badly that he sold his exclusive Supreme T-shirt collection.
Yep.
And I can't imagine the sneakers.
The Supreme hoodie was gone. The fucking designers were fucked. Everything that didn't get stolen, basically. And then I ran up all my credit cards. And I fucking.
Which you still haven't paid.
No, I still owe. Sorry, I hope they're not listening. Yeah, I still owe them.
Shout out to MasterCard. But then Jay dragged himself to 12-step.
Yep.
Got sober for 10 months.
Yep.
Got a job slinging tacos.
Yep.
Hooked up with some nice young women.
Yep.
Developed a life.
Yep.
And then decided he could drink like a normal person.
Yep.
Then he realized he could not drink like a normal person. He said, I'm going to do 30 days of drinking, and then I'm going to start sobriety in January.
Yep.
And how far did you make it?
I made it the very first day. I fucked it up. But after that.
Yes.
After that, I probably made it, I don't know, what month are we in now?
March.
Oh, shit.
I think you made it to the beginning of February.
Maybe 30 days, yeah. Because it started like the first, and then I made it maybe 30 days. And then I started drinking again. And this week hit me hard. This week, I'm like, oh, fuck, So I went away. I went to Los Angeles. I fucking drank every single day.
Hold on. Before we get into the drunkalog of your Los Angelino trip, I want to. There's something that's important to me.
Oh, shit.
Which is when you get 30 days.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
But you're not doing a program.
No.
So it's hard. It's just totally based on your will.
It wasn't even like it was like if I was doing a program, it would have been like a thing. Like, 30 days, you know? But like since I wasn't really doing anything, it wasn't really a thing. It was
you were
like
a balloon and you didn't have a lot of fucking anchors planted into the ground.
There it is.
And then you floated away.
I flew off.
But like when you finally were like 30 days, I don't care.
Yep.
So I want to go into that.
At 30 days of drinking in December fucking got me thinking that I need to stop real bad, you know, because I knew I was going to stop. Yeah, I knew I want to stop. Yeah. So I'm like, oh shit, now I got to stop. So once I stopped for 30 days, I was like, wow, look what I just did. Like I can
do this.
I can do that.
I can do it when I want.
Yeah. Exactly.
Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm not afflicted.
Maybe. Yeah. It's possible. I'm normal.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
Normal.
You
people.
might be normal. Top 5 least normal people I've ever come across, which is a good thing though.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
Normal people fucking,
you know,
do normal things, you know? I haven't done many normal things, you know?
Not many.
Crack in the neck, you know?
Crack in the neck, meaning shooting crack
into my neck for funsies daily.
When was the last time you shot crack in the neck?
Oh, probably like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
I want us to slow down though, because you get too excited.
I'm mad excited.
I want to tap into your emotions.
All right, hit me with the emotional shit.
I know that you're scared of what's coming.
Yeah.
I'm scared of what's coming. We don't know what's coming, which mean with sentencing around the fentanyl bust. You decided you wanted to get clean and you got clean.
Yeah.
And then you decided that you didn't really want to be clean. How much of it do you think was fear around this upcoming sentencing?
Oh, some of it is, but it's so split.
I know, dude, you're fucking out of touch with yourself.
It's so split.
You want to go nuts right now.
Yeah, I want to go nuts, but then again,
right.
I also want to fucking chill because I want to be right. Like I'm very split. I'm very split, but I know what the better thing to do is. You know what I'm saying? Like I know, that's to fucking get my head right and get my body right and get physically, spiritually, mentally fucking A1. And you can't do that when you're fucking drinking and drugging and doing shit like that. You can't. It just can't. Because even when I was sober for however long, 10 months, I was fucking synced up, bro. My fucking brain to my fucking mouth for the most part, to my heart for the most part, was all in sync. Like it was all operating functionally. It was all functioning at a high level. All of it together. You know, I was fucking best shape of my life.
Probably maybe the first time you ever were.
Ever.
Right.
Ever.
And you had these moments where you'd be like, what am I going to do when I grow up? I fucked everything up, but maybe I have a chance. And then you kind of hate on yourself at the same time. And then it's like all these opportunities to make cash, to fuck around with women, to have fun, to be normal. To be normal.
To be normal. That's it.
And you took it. The question is this. How much do you, because like obviously after the 30 days of drinking, you're like, I'm going to hit the gym like a fiend.
Yep.
And you did that.
Yep.
And you did not use, but you didn't get any kind of program.
Yeah.
So like, where are you at?
Well, I didn't do any kind of like not even just a program. I didn't do anything.
I want to get to where you're at now. Mm-hmm. What are you willing to do?
Oh.
You were supposed to get sober today, and you've been sober today.
So thus far, yes.
But what did you say to me on the phone?
I said, tonight, I'm fucking going hard. It's my last hurrah. And you know what's fucked up? Because after we got off the phone, I was like, you know what? I've said that before.
Of course you have.
About other things.
Of course you have. About everything.
That didn't end up being the last hurrah. And actually, I'm pretty sure my last hurrah was fucking not even a hurrah. It was like a fucking, you know?
And it will be tonight.
Yeah.
But I like the way you say hoorah.
Yeah, hurrah. Yeah.
And I think what you said before is the last kiss goodnight.
Yeah, kiss goodbye. Yeah.
Very romantic.
Yeah, I have to sensualize this, you know?
Now, do you want to hear the email I got?
No.
You don't. No, it's not bad.
Okay,
It's
all
nice.
right.
All right. Dear Dave, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate the Dopey Podcast. I listen to it every day.
Damn.
When at work.
Shout out to you.
And I, too, am a big fan of
Good
you
job working.
and Fentanyl Jay. You were worried it was going to be negative.
Wow.
That's why you started talking shit as soon as... All right.
Knuckle
He sounds like me a year ago, and it sounds like him and I would have been best friends. So shout out to him.
Fuck yeah. What's this guy's name?
We'll get there.
All right.
Turns out the last guy we mentioned, I had to take his name out of the show. You might even remember his name. He had a weird name, and we had to take his name out of the show because he didn't want to. The guy with the ounce of heroin guy.
Oh, him.
Okay, here we go. Anyway, so shout out to Fentanyl Jay. Anyway, I recently heard you speak about Elmira, New York prison, and I had the delightful opportunity of growing up in that shithole of a town. It's full of violence and drugs. Also, everything the dude speaking the other day on the bus, stay in Elmira in the camp on Seneca Lake, everything he said was 100% true. I spent the first 18 years of my life in that town, bouncing around from rehab to rehab. Matter of fact, I like how people start censoring.
Matter of fact, it's very scholarly.
I like but on the street you say, matter of fact. Matter of fact, my dad actually was a prison guard in the reception center of that prison for over 25 years. I am about 10 and a half months sober off all drugs and alcohol. And I'm currently living in a sober living outside of Atlantic City, New Jersey. Somers Point, to be exact. Now, let me get into my dopey story. Back when I was about 16 years old, I'm 21 now, my best friend Maxie and I were taking a bunch of Xanax and smoking weed at the ski house near Buffalo, New York. At about 3 a.m., we decided it was a good idea to climb up the mountain and go for a nighttime run down the slope while extremely fucked up. Not sure what compelled us to do this, but we did. We made it all the way to the top and strapped up our skis, and just as that was happening, a worker on a snowmobile pulled up and started screaming at us. Naturally, we flew down the hill as fast as we could, making it all the way to the bottom where my friend kept gliding across the heavy sheets of 2-foot deep powder where I got stuck in it and fell. The next thing I know, you're a skier, right, Jay?
I'm a skier, snowboarder, I shred.
Okay. Next thing I know, the man on the snowmobile comes flying up and jumps off the snowmobile and gets on the radio telling someone to call the state troopers. I have a trespasser here that I caught, and his friend is nowhere to be found. He then starts poking me in the chest as hard as he can, saying that I made a huge mistake and that I'm going to jail if I don't tell him where my friend went. I try to beg and plead with him, let him know that I'm just a kid, but I wasn't getting anywhere. Next thing I know, over the man's shoulder, who was screaming in my face about 100 yards back, I see my best friend recording me and waving his hands to run. Me being a quick thinker, I am with my skis. I'm sorry. I throw them at the man as hard as I can and make a run for it.
Nice.
And manage to slip away with about a 2-mile run back to my house, to his house. The next day we wake up and I'm shit out of luck to go skiing because they took my skis. We had to call the office to get my skis back and turn ourselves in. The man working that day told us to come down and have a talk with him, and I can have my skis back.
That's a fucking trap.
For sure.
Sounds like a setup to me.
We walk in and the two men sit us down and start dying laughing because they say the man who was screaming at us really is an asshole, and that they gave everyone else who worked there a good laugh. So we pretty much left unscathed.
Wow.
Other than the fact that the man snapped my ski poles over his knee out of anger because he was so angry a couple of kids got the best of him. This story, in my opinion, is truly the definition of a dopey story.
True.
And it's my favorite memory with my best friend Maxie, who has since passed away.
R.I.P. Maxie.
Yeah. I hope you get this, and if you and it's okay to use my name. Orion. P.S. You ready for this? This is bittersweet.
All right, let's hear it.
I definitely plan to write Jay if he goes away. And every time I go to McDonald's and ask for cookies, I tell them they better be fucking warmed up.
He knows the deal.
God bless. Ryan.
Shout out to Ryan.
So, I mean, now let's get back to the point. I appreciate that story.
Me too.
I'd like more drugs in the traditional dopey story, but poor Maxie died. So we'll let that pass.
They were doing coke and shit, I think, right?
And Xanax and the
Xans. Yeah, they were fucking
it's fine.
Doing it up.
And I just like it because it's about you. I wanted to share a nice story about you.
It's a nice one.
Here we are. It's March.
Yep.
Your concern, what we've said over and over and over, is it's either April or May.
April, May, maybe June.
Really, June? When does it run out?
So it's 2 years from my last court date.
And the last court date was
a few weeks, some, I don't know. It was all fuzzy. But when I got arrested, you know, I get the fucking.
So you have no idea.
It's in it's in this little span right here.
Could it be July?
I don't think so. No, I was home. I was definitely fucking back in New York. But then when I came back to New York, it was fucked because then, you know, I came home and my shit got raided and I turned. Yeah. So it's because there was so many jail stays in this time
and
that
you were so high.
And I was high.
Coming down.
And fucking.
Sick.
Exactly. I was fucking. It's all a fucking cloud. I remember the fucking day that I thought the cloud lifted. It didn't. But I remember the day I was like fucking, you know, when you're coming off drugs, like for doing drugs for years, and like you're looking around and you're like, what the fuck? Like, where am I? Like I couldn't even speak sentences well. I swear to God. Like I could speak, but like my brain was not fucking communicating with my mouth well. Like it wasn't getting out. So I remember the day that I was like, oh shit, like, is this fucking normal? I remember that was a side story, but I remember feeling that like, oh shit, like I'm like, I was fucked up. Like, you know, like,
well, it's like, you know what? It's like, you know, like when your yard fills with snow and you get used to it and like that's how it looks. And then all of a sudden, the first time it's gone, you're like,
oh shit,
I have a yard. Or
What
it looks like this, or a flood and the water goes back. And that's what it's like.
Yeah.
You know, everything shifts. And but so listen, I've had April circled in my mind this whole year.
Me too. Me too. Like April, May. So that's got to be it. Because then I came home, and then my apartment got raided here, and I had to turn myself in here. So it was a lot of jail and a lot of fucking coming off of drugs and a lot of being on drugs in between. So it was all very fuzzy. But I think it's April or May. I know I got arrested the day after that. Yeah. So it was April or May.
So this is what I want to know. Like, there's nothing we know that we cannot, and that's just Jay vaping, desperately sucking the end of this jewel.
Fiend. It's not a jewel, Dave.
What
It's
is
fucking grape flavored.
What is that?
It's a fucking Caliburn, all right? These are the fucking
What's
best.
the difference?
Shout out to the Caliburn company,
What's the
bro.
difference?
These are flavored, all right? These have
Jewels are not flavored?
Jewels are fucking, in New York, are not flavored.
You know,
all
I didn't
vapes in New York are not flavored. You know that? Unless you got an illegal plug.
Wow.
That's the illegal shit I've been up to.
Let me just say this. I used to vape, but I never even liked it enough that I had to stop. I just put it down. I didn't care.
You smoked, though.
Oh, yeah, I smoked a lot.
And then you stopped
No,
smoking?
I vaped afterwards.
And then you just stopped vaping?
Yeah, but it wasn't hard to stop vaping. I didn't like it. I don't like it. It's fucking, I don't
This
like
is
it.
impossible for me.
Well, you're a young whippersnapper.
I think this
And
makes it. I think I smoke more of this than I did cigarette, and I smoked
Why?
cigarettes, you know, because I
Why?
can just smoke it anywhere. I smoke it when I'm out. I smoke it if I'm inside. I smoke it if I'm outside. I smoke it if I'm in a restaurant. I smoke it everywhere. I smoke it at the bar.
I find it very unsatisfying. I have a vape downstairs in our bathroom. Downstairs, there's a secret closet in the bathroom.
What else is in there?
I don't know. This guy sent me fucking, after Chris died, this guy who had a vape company wanted to name a vape flavor after Dopey or Chris or Toodles or whatever, and like he sent me some flavors,
Flavor packets,
and a thing, a pen, whatever, a thing, and I like hid it down there from Linda, and I never took it out of the box.
Oh, shit.
It's in the box downstairs.
I'm telling Linda.
It's flavors. If you're interested in some,
interested in the flavors.
if you're interested in some flavors. Now, anyway, the point is, there's fucking trouble on the horizon.
Yep. But here's my thing. You ready? So
Yes.
What if did we talk about this already last
I'm sure
time?
we did. I don't care.
Oh, we probably did. So what if,
Yes,
ready? What if
I'm ready.
I'm fucking, what if, hopefully they're not listening. No, they're all fucking,
People have insinuated that maybe your appearances on Dopey could work against you.
yeah, fuck that. Yeah, it's possible, but I'm not
Someone
even
else said
who
that
I
you just
am.
say it's entertainment. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
It's like
Yeah,
I'm
we
a
know,
fucking
yeah.
artist.
Right.
This is my art.
Well, you are an artist.
You know?
I think your work is really top notch.
A1.
Back to
So
it.
what if in this fucking bumblefuck hick town,
You've told
county,
me this.
I did, right?
Yeah, but tell the Dopey Nation.
So what if, bro,
These lovely people in Ohio
these awesome fucking people
Yes.
who I love,
who love you,
and
hopefully.
the fucking district attorney's probably a wonderful person.
I'm going to suppose this for you because I don't even want you to say it.
All right.
What if Jay paid $100,000 in bail?
No bond.
No bond.
Straight bail.
What if they just kept the money and kept it moving?
Kept the money, tore up the papers, fed it to the rural
Nice
fucking people out
Yes.
there, the farm people,
Yes.
fucking the people
Supported the methadone
Yeah,
program. out
supported
there,
all.
right.
Yeah, what
The
if they fucking
highways.
put it to good? Or what if they just pocketed like the fucking
Right.
scumbags they are in the court systems?
some fat cat.
On my bad.
Right.
I
No,
know
no,
what
stealing
you're
that
talking- Yeah.
shit.
What if they fucking stole it
Made
and
a
they're just
jacuzzi.
letting me rock?
They got a hot tub.
Because news to me, ready? When I came home, right, I was in contact. I had to put my Ohio lawyer in contact with my fucking Florida lawyer, in contact with my New York lawyer. Had to have them all in contact because we're going to try to get everything ran concurrent. We're going to try to get everything not, everybody needed to know what the fuck was going on, right? Because I had a possession here, and after they raided my fucking house, my apartment, I had a possession here. I had fucking the gold story I've told on here going on in Florida. I had like a bunch of shit going on.
And that was actually a story with gold in it. Not
Yeah.
that the story wasn't a gold story, but it was about
gold. It
gold.
was platinum.
Yeah. Platinum story concerning
about
gold.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they fucking what? So then shortly after that, I remember, I don't know, because I started like getting back with my family and with my dad and with my sisters and stuff. And like I just fucking got out of fucking jail again in New York for a quick stint, which bail was like, I don't even, no, there wasn't even a bail. I got out from the precinct. Because,
Where are you going with this?
ready?
Yes.
I called my Ohio lawyer and I was like, because at this point in time, the case was dismissed from municipal court and it was waiting to be picked up. And I was like, yeah, so what's up? Like, I just got this new one in New York. Like, what's up? And he kind of made it seem like I was with my dad when I called. He made it seem like, like,
The fix is in.
yeah, like
you
don't
paid your way out.
Yeah,
of
like
this.
don't even
When
call
did
me
he
about
say
it.
that?
Was like probably 3 months, 4 months. That was probably like a year ago,
Because when I've said to you,
yeah.
do you want to call the lawyer? You've said a very drug addicty thing, which is, I don't want to remind him I exist.
I don't want to. I don't. So like, and maybe that's a deterrent. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe that's why I don't want to.
A year ago, I was saying this shit, and you were saying no. Now we're getting close. It's scary,
fucked
and
up.
you're hoping, and I'm still hoping it happens.
Mm-hmm.
What is the upside to actually getting your shit together now?
Upside to getting my shit together now is even regardless if I go, which I'm pretty fucking sure I am. If I do go, my fucking mind, body, and spirit and soul will be prepared fucking in the mind state that I'm going to be in for however many years I'm away for. Like, it's not going to be like a shock to my body. You know, like
You'll have started.
I'm already in the mind state
Like
that
you're
I'm
not
gonna
showing
be
up all fucked.
exactly,
And stupid.
and then fucking coming to and even just from drinking every day. I'd be able to prepare my brain a lot better for where I'm going, which is fucking important to have your fucking brain to know in a sober, clear-headed state of mind where you're going and what's happening and what's going on, rather than like pushing it off, pushing it away in your brain and getting fucking faded and pushing it to the back and then realizing it once it's too fucking late because it's already happening. I'll be able to get my body fucking A1, day one, seriously.
Well, you're there already.
And I'll be able to get on a fucking schedule.
But I think mostly it's like what you talked about before, aligning your brain, your body, and your spirit.
Yeah.
Because
And then my spirit, that's a fucking big one.
But
That's like the biggest one.
you don't want to be like fucking with people
Yeah.
and like competing like as though you're a kid
Yep.
and finding like good deals on shit
Yeah.
and proving who you could fuck
Yeah,
up
yeah,
for
yeah,
any
yeah.
other reason than survival.
Yeah,
you need
yeah,
to
yeah.
do whatever
It's
you
true.
can do to like get out of there
It's true.
as responsible an adult as possible.
It's true.
And I think, honestly, if you put a program together now where you're of service, where you're fucking engaged,
How can I be of service right now, though?
I'm going to help you out with this.
Yeah,
First
yeah.
of all, coming on Dopey is of service.
It's true.
Number two, if you start doing an actual program, you'll be of service. That's bam. The second you're doing it, you're
Done.
of service. It will change you, and like we need to get you there.
Yeah.
And like anybody who's not rooting for you, fuck you.
Yeah.
Everybody who is, they're really rooting for you.
Yeah.
We love you.
Yeah.
You're gonna do the right thing.
Yeah.
And I can't do it for you,
I know.
but I'm here.
I know.
We're here. It's happening. All right.
It's all happening.
Now, before we have a very special guest. Her name is Pam Gaslow. She wrote a book called "Don't Bring Your Vibrator to
Don't
Rehab."
do it. You can bring the toothbrush, though.
She goes into that. But I want to say a couple of things. I don't know if I told you about this.
All right.
You know the company Time
Time.
Magazine?
Yes.
You know the Kanye West show on Netflix?
Genius. I didn't watch it, but yeah.
The people who made that show
Yeah.
are working on a documentary about Dopey.
No way.
Yes. So we are
Genius?
those people.
No way.
But they're really from Time documentaries.
Oh, fuck.
They also made a movie about Aretha Franklin. They made a movie. Shout out to Aretha.
Yeah, she's
You
great.
won't know everybody else that they made movies about, but you know Kanye.
I know Kanye.
So what I need people in the Dopey Nation, and I need you to be in this movie too.
That's fucking crazy.
What we need people in the Dopey Nation to do is send in a 1-minute video about what Dopey means to you. And we have a couple. I'll play one right now.
Wow.
Fuck it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew Wiedemeyer Carroll, and I would just like to take a minute to tell you what the Dopey Podcast means to me. Dopey is more than just a podcast to me. It is a way of life. When I first found Dopey, I was in a very hopeless state in my life. I was an active IV meth user, and I was on my way to going back to prison very, very soon. So at a particularly low point in my life, I was new to podcasts, to listening to them anyway. I searched methamphetamine in the search bar on the Apple Podcasts, and Dopey came up. And I started listening, and I could really relate to what Dave and Chris were saying. I went to prison shortly after that. I wrote Chris, one of the former hosts of the show, and he put my letter on Instagram. When I got out, I never looked back. I stayed clean. I started listening to Dopey. It is more than a podcast to me. Like I said, it is definitely a way of life and a safety net. Without Dave and the Dopey Nation and the wonderful community that he has created, I would not be speaking with you here today. So stay strong, Dopey Nation, and toodles for Chris.
Right?
Wow.
You got it. I could see you feeling
Got
it,
the
right?
chills from this
Did you
guy.
get the chills?
Fuck.
From Matt?
Yeah, Matt gave me the fucking chills, dude.
First thing Jay said was, that's a good-looking guy.
Yeah.
They call him the Iowa Smoke Show.
That's what it is, right?
Matt Wiedemeyer Carroll.
All he had to do was type in methamphetamine. That's fucking hilarious.
Well, we have a whole world of people like that. So if you feel like Matt do, and you want, and also Matt's going to probably be in the documentary. If you feel like Matt do, and you feel like you love Dopey and you have something to say about your experience with it, send in a 1-minute video to dopeypodcast@gmail.com. It will help us, because they're not going to make a movie, Jay. All they're going to make is a 4-minute thing.
Okay.
And there's going to be clips of the show. There's going to be clips of the animation. There's going to be clips from DopeyCon. There's going to be clips from my dad, whatever. And we're going to try to sell it to like Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime or whatever. And I think that you might be the secret weapon in this movie, because your story is so much more fucked up than the Dopey story.
No,
It's
not.
I think there could be a whole just J doc.
No, don't gas me right now.
No, dude, your story is fucked up.
Your story's fucked up. Your story's royally fucked up.
I know. All right, now before we get to Pam Gaslow, this episode of Dopey is brought to you by BetterHelp Online Therapy. I learn about myself every day. I went to the meeting this morning, and I fucking learned about myself.
You're spiritually fit.
I'm almost there. I learned that I'm still a child in many ways, and I enjoy being a child. It's given me freedom, because when I was using, I couldn't really be a child.
Fuck yeah.
I was all fucked up. When I went to therapy, it helped me even more to know who I was, to know how I can keep myself in a great moment. Therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness and your understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want.
It's true.
Or we react to things in weird ways. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. Whether or not you've been in therapy personally, therapy's major. It's a way to get in touch with yourself. You ever been in therapy?
I should be.
Are you ready?
I'm fucking ready.
If you sign up with the code Dopey, you get 10% off your first month. 10% off your first month.
I need a therapist.
The code is Dopey Podcast. If you're thinking of starting therapy, you give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule, Jay.
This is the perfect place to fucking air us out. Fucking all drug addicts should see a therapist.
You just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Discover your potential with BetterHelp.
Hell yeah.
Visit BetterHelp.com/dopeypodcast today, and you get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/dopeypodcast. All right. Now, Pam Gaslow.
Pam Gaslow.
Okay, I'm here in the kitchen with Pam Gaslow.
Hi, how are you?
Did I say that okay?
Perfect.
It's not a very Jewish sounding name.
I'm sorry.
It's like gas. I mean, what would be? It's gas. I've never heard Gaslow as a Jewish name.
Maybe it was Gaslow Kaus something else.
Gaslowitz.
That got shortened, right?
You got lucky, right?
Oh.
And you wrote a book what is it? Don't bring a vibrator. You can't bring a vibrator to rehab, or don't bring a vibrator to rehab?
Don't bring your vibrator to rehab.
And why shouldn't you bring your vibrator to rehab?
Because you're not allowed.
Are there any rehabs that allow vibrators?
That's a really good question, but I didn't find any in my research.
One of my favorite moments in the book is where you say you could bring an electric toothbrush to rehab and cover the bristles.
Yes, it doesn't say anything about not bringing electric toothbrushes.
Have you ever used an electric toothbrush for a vibrator?
I may have.
Okay. And you got sober.
Not the bristles part. I don't remember, but something.
No bristles. You might have used the other part.
I don't remember. It was a really long time ago. It was a desperate situation.
What happened there? Let's start there. Let's start there.
I don't know if I covered it or used the bat. It was a long time ago, but yes, in some way, shape, or form, yes. It didn't really work, if you know what I mean.
And it didn't work.
No.
And you didn't try it at rehab because you said you did not have an orgasm for the 15 days or 16 days you stayed at the rehab.
I am here to say that is true. No, I actually don't even use an electric toothbrush anymore because the dentist told me not to.
Why?
Because it wasn't good for my gums.
Interesting. See, I always think about getting one of these sonic toothbrushes. I'm always on the fence. I'm always at Costco. I'm always looking at it and thinking, do I get it?
Right.
Will it save my mouth? And the dentist says no.
I used it for many, many years, and then she's like, "No, just use a very soft bristle toothbrush." So that's what I do now.
All right, dental tips with Pam Gaslow.
You're welcome.
Okay, now when did you find out you were an alcoholic? When did you determine this?
I think in college, I just randomly had this awareness one day after, many incidents. But I remember thinking, yeah, I'm an alcoholic, but I also remember thinking I'm going to do absolutely nothing about that right now.
What were some of the incidents that made you believe that you were alcoholic or an alcoholic?
College was like a 4-year disaster.
Where did you go?
I started off at University of Colorado in Boulder.
Nice.
Which I only picked because it was, quote, pretty, because I had visited it. And I basically had no clue how to pick a college, like no guidance from anybody. And so I went to Colorado, got drunk all the time, acted idiotic. But the thing about Colorado was it's such a big school that like you can just kind of do that all the time and not get a reputation.
I had a friend, I think, that went there. I know he went to school somewhere in Colorado, and he said it was just cocaine all day, all the time.
I never did cocaine in my whole life.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Thank you.
I think you're one of the only dopey guests in the history of the show that has never done cocaine.
That's why I'm unique.
Okay.
The only reason I never did cocaine was I was terrified. And this is a really weird story, but when I was a teenager, I found this like 20-page article about cocaine, and in the back of like a rental car trunk or something. And I read it and I was literally terrified. And I'm like, I'm never doing this. And also, like very close friends of mine were like, don't ever do coke. And I'm also so thin naturally. And I was like, you're going to look like death and you're probably going to die. So I had a healthy dose of fear around cocaine. And I also felt like I acted insane enough just on alcohol that I didn't really need to add anything else to the mix. So I was lucky that, yeah.
What about weed? Because like the book is like you're basically this crazed pothead who goes to rehab. When did you become this crazy? I mean, I'm a horrible pothead too. I think a lot of neurotic Jews go that way.
Right.
So when did it happen to you?
After college.
Not at Boulder.
No. When I was in high school, I had a very negative experience with weed, and I like freaked out screaming one night and thought it was laced, and basically I don't know what it was, but I probably just had a panic attack.
Right.
So I didn't smoke weed for a really long time because I was scared. I didn't smoke weed throughout college. So that was another reason I didn't fit in Colorado.
Because Boulder was crazy hippie school,
yeah.
Right?
And besides, like, it was like everyone's stoned and everyone like wears no shoes and, has like a mangy dog that has no leash.
And how does a nice Jewish girl from Long Island fit into that?
I didn't.
Okay.
So, but
you stayed.
No, I left after one semester.
Okay, you didn't.
Like I was so adamant on going there. It's like I was clueless. I'm like, I must go to Colorado because I want to be different, and I don't want to be where I wanted to get away from Long Island and experience something different. And it was almost too different. And I felt like Boulder's a beautiful place, and I don't want to say anything negative about Boulder because it just wasn't for me. Like, I'm more of like a city girl. So I
had the best huevos rancheros I ever had in Boulder.
That's lovely.
And I was high. I was stoned.
I had the best pizza, and
In
I was not
Boulder?
high.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, if anyone knows, back in the day, it was Abo's Pizza. I don't know if it's still there, but anyway.
That sounds like a dubious claim.
It's probably not there.
All right, after a semester at Boulder, you come back home?
I came home. I lived with my parents, and I went to Hofstra University, which was like an even more horrible experience. And I had no friends home, and I was super depressed. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to transfer. And I transferred to GW, George Washington University, only because I had friends there and didn't even like them. But, I did like the easier, softer way. That's how I made my decisions back then. So I wound up in a school filled with people from Long Island, which is exactly where I didn't want to be. But at that point, I was just so lost and clueless. And I'm like, I just want to graduate. I want to just get out on time. So the next 3 years was more of the same: drinking, being depressed, feeling bad about how I behaved, and then staying home for like a month and then going back out and doing the same exact thing.
And when do you find that, like, I mean, you said you knew you were an alcoholic back then. When does it get bad? Or was it bad then? When does it get to the point where you're like, I can't do it?
Well, that was a few years later. So when I was in college, like, I knew something was, quote, like, wrong with me. So I went to a therapist, and one therapist was like, you have a drinking problem, you need to go to AA. And I was like, yeah, no way. Because I felt like I couldn't possibly survive in that environment without drinking. I thought drinking was what was like keeping me alive and sane, if I was sane. So then the next session, she handed me an AA pamphlet, and then I stopped seeing her.
Because you didn't want to go?
No.
Well, who wants to go?
No, right.
I mean, I bet you there are people that do want to go. I mean, I really didn't want to go, but in the back of my head, it seemed like the people that went were together. You know what I mean? Like, there were it was like a little culty thing that I didn't want to be a part of, and I didn't even think that I should be a part of it. But part of me was like, well, at least I'd belong someplace. You know what I mean?
Funny.
And I'm sure a lot of like weirdo people like just go there.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Because you do get a lot of love. It's a place with a lot of love.
We always know who doesn't belong there, though.
Right. So, well, don't say that. Now someone's going to be someone's going to be like, I can't go.
No. Well, don't go for fun. I'm talking about the people that are like, oh, I'm going to check that out. Or I've, stories about people think they want to meet someone there to like be in a relationship with. I'm like, that's not the best idea.
That's like a TV show, like dating through AA.
There's better places.
I don't know. I think I like the idea of that show.
Good
like
luck.
Someone goes to, I mean, it wouldn't work with anonymity, but somebody goes to AA to find, because when you go to AA, if you have a good program, it's like a good guidebook for how to live a good life.
If you're an alcoholic or addict.
You don't think that it just gives you a nice life no matter what?
I do. I 100% do. And I think anyone can benefit from a meeting because it does teach you how to live life on life's terms. But I think to go into a place like that to try to meet a spouse of some sort is kind of crazy because you don't.
It's very crazy.
Yeah, you don't know who you're getting involved with, and to go at your own risk.
Well, it's like it's the old two sickies don't make a welly, and if you're a welly and you show up and for a sickie, but they're great. I love the like we met in AA and married 40 years.
I was engaged to someone I met in AA.
What happened?
We broke up.
Why?
That's a really long story, but
I want to hear, this is what I want to hear. I want to hear the therapist gives you the AA pamphlet.
Right.
You choose not to continue with the therapist.
Right, because my path was so much better.
So where did your path take you?
Absolute misery. So I graduated from college and I was working for my dad because that was like all I was capable of doing because I couldn't really like show up on time and I was so depressed and I was just like.
What did your dad do?
We're in the office. It's a family business and we sell office furniture. So, I was able to like, drink a bottle of wine at night by myself and then smoke a joint and then make phone calls because then I was happy. And then I could show up late for work and leave early. And it was, that was like my existence. And then this went on for maybe like 4 years. And so when I was in college, I had a one-night stand with this guy. And he was like 4 years older than me. And he didn't go to my school, but he was like passing through DC on a motorcycle trip.
All right.
So I meet him at the bar and I take him home with me. And, he's really, really handsome guy. And, I knew of him because we were from the same hometown. And all the girls liked him and he's very charming. He was a Long Island motorcycle guy, like a rogue, like one of these, like an ex-greaser kind of writing poetry. It was
guy.
like a nice bike. It was like an expensive Harley,
Okay. And he was a well sought after guy in your hometown.
Yes.
Did he wear like white t-shirts and jeans and stuff?
No.
He wasn't like an old school motorcycle guy.
I don't know what he was wearing.
Okay, keep going. I'm sorry.
But
I don't want to ruin your story.
I knew, and I'm like, he's hot. So he came back to my apartment. I don't think we spoke 10 words to each other. And we had sex and he left and that was it. And 4 years went by. And
was he the guy you got engaged to at AA?
Absolutely not.
That would be amazing.
No.
But keep going, please.
And then I saw him one other time where he also didn't say anything. Like a friend brought him to my apartment, and I was like, "Is that so and so?" Like I didn't even
shut up.
recognize him.
He comes back to your apartment after you had sex with him, and
so
you don't
4
talk
years
to him?
later, a friend of mine, we have a mutual friend, shows up and he's like, "Hey, I'm here. Can I come by?" And he brings this guy with him. And I'm like, "Oh my God, is that, so and so?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he like had gained weight and he was wearing a wedding band. And I was like, "Oh, are you married?" And he's like, "No." I'm like, "Why are you wearing a wedding band?" He's like, "I can't get it off." And that's like all he said that day. And he complimented a piece of my art that I made. He leaves. Cut to 6 months later, this guy calls me from a payphone, which shows you how long ago this was. This was 1995 or 6. And he's like, "Do you know who this is?" And I'm like, "Yes." It was like 11 o'clock at night. And he's like, "I'm across the street from your house. Can I come over?" And I was like, "Sure." Okay, so that just shows you mentally where I was at that time. This was when I'm like drinking alone, smoking weed all night, hate everybody, don't go out. And I think, oh my God, this cool guy from back in the day like wants to come over. So I let him come over and, long story short, when I opened the door and saw this guy, I was like, oh my God, I don't know what happened to him, but like he looked like a mess. And I just felt like I'm a mess. And for some reason, I felt like he was going to help. He was going to help me. No, seriously, I got this like vibe.
The two sickies.
Yeah. He looked like he was like in homeless person's clothing.
Nice.
A little
real catch.
A little overweight, but I'm like, oh, he's the cool guy that everyone, now he's divorced. Now his family doesn't talk to him. He's 2 days out, got kicked out of a 6-month rehab, and he's calling me from a payphone.
I love this.
Yeah.
It's romance.
So I was like, come
up
in.
now. I need you.
So he proceeded to stay with me for maybe a few months on and off. And he, one day, I didn't know that I had no clue about addiction and whatever. And I ended up like drinking and smoking in front of him. And one day he's like, "You're an addict." And he's like, I was like, "I know," and like that was it. And nothing else was said. And then eventually he started telling me like, "You need help and you need to go to meetings and you need to change your life." And
how was he when he was telling you this?
The funny part that I found out after was, so like he would stay with me and he would disappear all day and I didn't know where he went. And I'm like, "Where are you?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm just going to AA meetings all over the city. I just walk from meeting to meeting." And I later found out that he was at OTB.
Off track betting,
Yes,
if you didn't know what that
yes.
was. Did he come home smelling of cigars and McDonald's?
No, but you know what? It is funny, so I just want to tell the truth about it. But the truth also is like he talked the talk and he helped me at the end of the day. So whether or not he was sober, it's almost like it doesn't matter.
What happened to him?
Well, my father found out that he was staying with me and he's like, "I heard, he's living with you. And if you don't get him out of there, I'm going to personally come and remove him." So
how did your father know anything about it?
Because I probably had a big mouth and told people. And
no, but I mean, like, would your dad have allowed anyone to be there? How old were you?
25.
How does your father have a say with who stays with you?
Well, he was paying my rent at the time.
Right.
That's why. So I said, "You have to leave." And then he just literally got in some like old shitty car that was breaking down at every red light and drove to Florida.
Does he live with you now?
No way.
Have you ever seen him on the motorcycle around the way?
No, I was just like, I don't know.
What's his first name?
Brian.
Brian, if you're listening, please send an email to dopeypodcast@gmail.com. I need to know what happened to you.
He's the funniest person on the face of the earth. But anyway, he's not great now.
How do you know?
Well, we stayed in touch.
So you're in touch with him?
Not currently, but on and off over the years.
And so he tells you you're an addict as he's gambling.
Right.
And your father removes him, or your father tells you you're a dutiful daughter, and you tell him to go.
Right.
And then how shortly after does the seed that he planted in your brain take hold? And how bad do you get?
It wasn't like I was so bad. I had nothing going on. I was just like isolated, just drinking, smoking by myself, not going out, but very depressed and no upward mobility in life. Just no life. Just stagnant, and emotionally stunted, So yeah, I was going nowhere fast, kind of.
So when do you go to your first meeting?
I went to my first meeting in July 2000. What century is it? July 1996.
So you get sober then?
I got sober. Yeah. About like 2 weeks later, I had my last. I kind of stopped drinking before that because I was just so sick of how I was acting. And then.
But there was no cataclysmic crack smoking, fucking acid in your eyes shit.
No. I wasn't some like, garbage head or whatever they call those people. So.
Wow. It's our people. Those are our people.
Yeah, I know.
So you know, those people are our people.
It's all the same, but it's not a contest. You don't have to do every drug on earth to belong.
No, you definitely don't.
Yeah.
And the solution is totally the same either way.
Exactly.
Now, were you a crazy pothead then?
So somebody left a bong in my apartment. So I was like, oh, well. And, it could have been a needle. I don't know. It could have been anything.
No, you were scared to do coke. You weren't going to start shooting fucking
I wouldn't
frogs.
hang out with anyone who brought a needle over. But no, so he left a bong there and I was like, all right. And I just started smoking all the time. And once I realized, the one morning I woke up and realized, oh, wait, you can smoke in the morning. I was like, oh, that's it. All bets are off. And then, yeah.
And your stoner identity was cemented? Were you a ridiculous stoner? Because the phase 2 of your addiction is ridiculous stonerness.
Yeah, I think I evolved into that because I was like, wait, I'm an adult now. I can do whatever I want. No one says you can't smoke when you wake up. Where's that rule?
No, sometimes I reminisce. Weed, because we'll get to it, but in the book, you talk about writing the letter to weed, right? That weed took away your life and your peace and your ability to be a person. My letter when I was in treatment in Florida was to heroin, being upset that it took me away from weed. that was my letter. I miss weed. How could you do this? Weed was my beautiful girlfriend and heroin was the whore that destroyed my relationship that I wanted. So it was
Where's
interesting.
Your letter?
I don't know. It's my letter. Who knows? I have nothing. The wreckage of my past is.
But that's funny though.
No, it is funny because when I'm reading your book, it's all about how weed robbed you of everything. And I swear to God, my letter was to heroin stealing weed from me, destroying my relationship that I wanted.
That's right.
And what I was gonna say was that I'm still I haven't smoked pot in 7.5 years or whatever. But I have great euphoric recall of weed. And I have a great reservation. I have a fucking set reservation for being an old man with a fucking rocking chair and a record player and a bong and the Allman Brothers ready to go. I have that reservation in effect.
What age does that start?
I don't have a set age.
See, people say, it's people who are like, oh, if I get to this age and I am sick, just kill me. I'm like, nobody goes around murdering everyone because they're old, first of all,
But that's not murder. That's the opposite. It's I'd finally be living again.
But it is true. It's when I'm at this age, this XYZ, it's when is that age?
Okay, well, when I didn't have any sobriety, but I started getting a little bit of clean time, because I was a horrible heroin addict, I would try to make deals with myself. When could I do heroin again? When could I do drugs again?
When you want to die.
No, I would say when I was 60 or I had $60 million. That was the phrase.
Oh my God.
And I was probably in my early 30s or late 20s.
As you get older, you're like, wait, I'm getting
80s,
closer
80
to 60,
million,
right?
80 million. But I don't know. Like, I'm 48, right?
Okay.
I have a 13-year-old and I have a 4-year-old. So, like, weed. I mean, listen, I probably won't ever smoke again.
I hope not.
Why?
Why what?
Why would you hope that I never smoke again?
I don't think anything good comes out of it.
I disagree.
Well, it
as
depends
an old,
how
as
you
an
smoke.
old person,
How you smoke.
Listen, as an old person,
I'm older than you.
I'm not
Oh,
questioning your age. I'm not saying I'm an old person now.
Right.
I'm saying as an old person, I think I could really enjoy the effects of marijuana after I'm done, like after I'm retired. If I don't think I'll ever get to retire. I didn't work until I was fucking 35, basically. I don't think I'll ever get to retire. So it's all a fantasy.
I was going to say, this is a fantasy. Okay.
It's all a fantasy.
As long as it's not today, you can fantasize all you want.
Yeah, I fantasize about a lot of stuff.
I'm sure.
And it's not happening, soon. But I think there are, fucking, how many people are in recovery smoking weed, at this point?
That's a whole other topic. And like, you're either sober or you're not.
Wow. You
I'm hardcore.
You're setting a line.
Because you're smoking weed, you're not sober. You're altering your thinking, you're altering your brain chemistry, you're putting a drug in your body. Whether
Mood
you
or
want to
mind
call it a
altering.
drug or
Right.
not, it's a drug.
Well,
And I had this conversation recently with someone. You know what? Listen, everyone has to do whatever they want, whatever works for them, whatever makes them happy. I mean, I used to smoke cigarettes and I didn't feel sober. That's just me.
When's
personally.
the last time you smoked a cigarette?
23 years ago.
Wow.
Thank God. But like, I literally didn't feel sober. The compulsion and the obsession was so time consuming and overwhelming. I'm like, it's a drug.
I totally agree. And with cigarettes,
I was hanging out with this guy a few weeks ago. The amount of
Was it
cigarettes, and I
Brian?
hate smoke.
do you think Brian's smoking cigarettes
Does
right now?
not smoke cigarettes.
He doesn't?
And I hate cigarettes, and I don't want to hang out with anyone who smokes a cigarette. But I was with this guy, and like the amount of cigarettes he was smoking, I'm like, it's almost like there's another person between us. Like it's a barrier.
But that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's his best friend.
Yes. I'm
That's
like,
his love. That's his
yes.
life. That's his thing.
And I'm like, this is interfering with our intimacy. Like,
Big
you
time.
have to go take deal with your whole cigarette thing for 25 minutes now. And, I'm like, wow.
See, I miss cigarettes. I miss weed. But I don't miss it like I love my life. I love my recovery. I love my sobriety. I love my freedom. I love my options. But I miss the ball and chain.
Ugh.
I do. I miss the ball and chain. I miss.
It's a job. All of that is
All
a
of it is jobs.
I'm like, the smoking is a job.
Oh, and it's not only it's a job. Smoking. I miss smoking, but I know. I mean, weed, cigarettes, whatever. Both of them. I know the second I smoke anything, I'm just smoking.
Oh, same.
I'm just smoking. I'm not stopping.
It's not one cigarette.
It's not a joint at
It's
night.
a pack.
No, it's not a joint. If
No.
there's a joint at night, then there's a joint in the morning.
Yeah.
So what I was going to say when you were talking about like when you decided you were an adult and you could smoke in the morning, like I have great memories of the way bong smoke looked in the morning light at my window, like how thick it was. Like what see, you don't have the same euphoric recall that I do. But I think that's why I do this podcast, right?
Yeah.
Like I still enjoy that, but I do enjoy my freedom. I don't, and then the other thing about people who smoke weed in recovery, I was at a Zoom meeting the other day, and it was not a 12-step meeting, and somebody was talking about that they smoke weed, and I was and medicinally, and I was like, well, the greatest side effect to smoking weed is how high you get. You know what I mean? It's like it's great medicine, but the side effect is you get wasted. But on the other hand, right? It's like these people, those people. Mm-hmm. It's like it's a step. You know what I mean? And it's like you don't want to fucking alienate people, just because you're so sober. You know what I mean? You don't because
Not
like
so sober. I'm sober.
you're so sober.
Look up what's the definition.
But
No
see,
mind altering substances.
mood or mind altering
Okay,
substances.
well then everyone should.
And you don't
think
even
about
drink
it.
coffee.
I don't like it.
Do you take anything to help you sleep?
No, I exercise.
Do you eat sugar?
Yes.
What do you eat?
I love candy, cake. I mean, I'm trying not to so much now just because the doctor told me I'm like almost pre-diabetic. But
what if someone told you sugar was a drug? You'd be like, fuck you.
I'm aware of it and I try not to, a little bit. Like I try to do a little bit here and there. Like as I get older, I'm just like, it's not like I want to live to be 100 because that's just not like my goal. But like I want.
What's your goal?
My goal is to live as long as I can and be as healthy as I can. And I know none of us really have control over that. But
No.
if I can try to not sabotage that by like eating absolutely horribly or doing horrible things to myself, like I'm going to make that effort. But I'm not a freaking saint and I don't eat perfect, but I'm aware and I try. So
Listen, I think that's great. And I when I first got sober or when we were first doing the show, I was very much like, if you're not 100% sober, then you're not sober. And,
Right.
But it's like the more I've done it, it's all pathways. And it's like, and it's really whatever anyone does, it has nothing to do with what I do.
yeah,
So you got sober, and how long were you sober?
I was sober 7.5 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
See, I'm sober 7.5 years right now.
See, I hope this keeps you sober another 7.5.
Oh God.
Yeah. This
Now I'm getting nervous all of a
I'm
sudden.
the perfect guest for you right now.
Okay, hold on. So you're sober 7.5 years, but you hadn't, put liquid acid on your eyes. You hadn't shot heroin. You hadn't smoked angel dust or anything like that.
No.
You had smoked a bunch of weed and drank a bunch.
Yes.
And you were a hardcore card-carrying member of a 12-step fellowship that maybe you don't want to claim right now.
Yeah. 2 meetings a day for many years.
Manhattan.
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
Well, when I first got sober, I went all over. Now it's like, I don't remember. I went to Rhinelander. I went to some meetings at Midtown because I worked there. What are they called again?
I don't know.
My memory's not so good.
That's
I'm
fine.
embarrassed.
Yeah, you're a pothead.
Yeah. So, Upper East Side and some Midtown meetings. And what's the one everyone goes to at lunch? You don't even know.
No, I don't remember.
It doesn't matter. But anyway, yeah, I got around to different meetings at that point.
And why did you move to Florida?
The weather.
And how did everything fall apart? What happened?
Well, I had 2 real relapses, 7.5 years. I had a boyfriend and it was New Year's Eve and I had a really bad vibe. And he wasn't in the program, but he wasn't an addict. And I don't know. And I never felt that way until that night. And I was just like, I don't have a good feeling. I don't want to go. We had some people over before we went out and I just went and there was somebody left a bong on the table and I just did a bong hit.
Hold on. You're
What?
7.5 years sober. You're on a trip with your boyfriend.
Not a trip. I went to his house on the west side, his apartment.
Were you like in the groove of meetings?
Yeah.
So you went to 2 meetings that
No,
day.
not then. Probably not 2 meetings, but I still went to meetings a lot back then.
It wasn't like there was no big pause in your program.
No.
And you're just at his apartment.
Yeah.
You're young though, right? How old were you?
32.
Yeah. You're 32. There's a bong on the table. And do you
Yeah,
remember what your thinking was?
Nobody was around. There were only like 5 or 6
There was
people.
Bud there too, obviously.
I guess it was already in it. And nobody was in the room and I just picked it up and like smoked it. Like I told you, I had such a bad premonition about going there and I never thought about getting high or anything. But I knew I was also going to be the only sober person there that night. Not that that matters,
I don't know. I don't really love hanging out with people who are using in my sobriety.
They weren't addicts and they weren't crazy, but it was New Year's Eve, which never mattered to me anyway. I don't know why this happened. So I did this bong hit. I couldn't stop coughing. I locked myself in the bathroom. I was embarrassed, even though no one was watching. And I came out and announced it to everyone as if they cared. And nobody cared.
You cared. Were you devastated or did you?
It was like, how you feel like lightning is going to strike you? Because when you go to meetings for so long, you're almost, brainwashed that
I will die if I pick up a drink.
Yeah. So nobody gave a shit. And then we went out and it was fine. And
Did you drink?
no. And then all of a sudden, an hour and a half later, I was like, wait, I'm going to start coming down and I want more. And where am I going to get it? So then I started thinking about that, obsessing. And that was it. We went home and went to sleep. And then the next morning I woke up and I went into the living room and my boyfriend was sitting there and I was like, can we smoke again? And he looked at me like I had 3 heads, like, because he's not, he's a normal guy. And I was like, okay, never mind. And then
Did he know that you were 7.5 years sober?
Yeah, but
then that's probably why he
didn't
gave you
seem
the
to
love.
like get through to anyone. And then, then a few weeks later, I found someone to get high with, and here and there, and a little bit. And then eventually I got sober again. It was a while back now, but basically I had to like relapse as in, 20 something years. Another time then I got sober again, and then I had 8 years.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
And the more amazing is go ahead.
no, please.
No, it's amazing, and it's stupid because when I had 8, and I did go to rehab at some point in between there for like a week. And yes, I went to rehab, and then I stayed sober and they threaten you in the rehab. Not threaten you, they scare you. They're like, oh, if you don't stay here, you're never going to make it. And, they say sobriety's for people that want it, not people who need it. So I'm like, I guess I wanted it. And I stayed sober for 8 years. And then I was in New York. I lived in Florida at this point, and I came to New York, a friend's birthday party. And I messaged a guy who lived around the corner. I'm like, hey, I'm in New York. Come over. I want to see you. He comes and walks around the block. He's smoking a joint. I smoke the joint with him. Like, it's dumb. It's embarrassing. It's just...
Well, the thing that's interesting to me,
that was my weakness, though, like men and sex and weed. And like the smell of weed is very seductive to me. And especially if it's like coming from a hot guy.
how about right now?
Right.
Like in the street, like the streets of New York just stink of weed now. It's like
streets of everywhere stink of weed.
So like, but I think one of the really interesting things to me, especially like, because this show is a bunch of garbage heads, a bunch of fucking heroin addicts, a bunch of crack smokers, PCP shooters, whatever, fucking meth people, all these,
Yeah.
Although, I mean, it doesn't seem to me, and I'm not judging you in the slightest, that you were a leaving Las Vegas kind of alcoholic who was fucking like hiding bottles in the apartment and like drinking quarts of vodka and shit.
No, I physically couldn't anyway.
Right. Well, who knows what you could? But my point is, you went out after 7.5 years, and then you went out after 8 years, and you needed to come back to recovery. What was different, and like why? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure at meetings you deal with people like who are total fucked up drug addicts or these leaving Las Vegas kinds of alcoholics who it is like life or death. For you, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. And it wasn't so physical for me as it is for, you do withdraw from weed when you smoke as much as I did, but yeah, it's not heroin.
It's way different. And I'm not saying it's way better, because giving up weed in the end was the hardest thing for me to give up.
Because it seems innocuous. It's very socially acceptable. People even when I went to rehab for weed, people are like, what's your drug of choice? And I tell them, and they're like, that's it. And it, to me, like what I write about in the book, you don't have to be a junkie in the street with a needle in your arm. You have to be just like, your life's unmanageable. You can't stop. It's like, to me, addiction's like when you can't stop doing something that is bad for you, that you hate doing, and you're still doing it.
Compulsivity.
Yeah. And just mentally, like my depression was so bad. And the fact that I say I'm doing absolutely nothing with my life when I'm like a creative, talented person, and I'm sitting staring at the walls and smoking weed all day, I'm like, I might as well be dead. So that whole mental situation, and just withdrawn from society, and just not caring, not giving a shit. It's just a nothing life,
And you're talking about like depression.
Major, for me, it was major depression.
And maybe that's where it is life and death.
Yeah.
Because once you're in that place, it's not worth living anymore.
Because there's no life. And I'm like, you get so hopeless, like after I think, so what happened was, I don't remember, I had the 8 years, and I think I smoked with that guy once. I don't think I smoked again.
Who, the hot guy with the joint?
Yeah.
Not Brian.
And,
how do you think Bryant looks now?
Not amazing.
Not great.
I wish he was here, because he's amazing. But, anyway, so that was always a trigger for me, like weed and sex and men. And, you know, like I always say, it's just embarrassing to even say it because it sounds so stupid. You know, it just does. To me now, especially, like I wouldn't hopefully never do that again for a guy. You know, it's never worth it. But what happened was when I moved to Miami.
You're just going to talk about the coconut guy now.
Yeah.
But there was the hot joint guy in Manhattan.
Right.
And now there's going to be the coconut guy in Florida.
Right.
And you're identifying sex. And it shouldn't be embarrassing, but it's funny to come on Dopey and me like be like, you're not a hardcore addict. And you be like, I'm embarrassed to mention that sex is an issue, but it is an issue for everybody.
The first AA meeting I ever went to was a woman talking about like being obsessed with a guy. And like to me, that made me come back. So I feel like whatever it is, to me at the end of the day, it's all the same shit.
Totally.
You know, that's why it's like I just go to AA because to me it's the biggest fellowship. There's the most people. Some people, I guess, feel the need to specifically speak about coke and specifically talk about marijuana, and that makes them comfortable. But like to me, whatever you're addicted to, it is the same crap. You know, we all have the same thoughts and the same behaviors. If it's cupcakes, if it's sex, if it's gambling, if it's...
Did you ever do SALA?
Yes.
How much?
That was horrific.
It's hardcore. That place is crazy. When did you do SALA?
Oh, I started that like in college. I went to one meeting, because I just like one weekend acted outrageous. And
what did you do?
I went to visit my brother in Boston at college, and I, acted insane, and I was mortified, and I embarrassed him.
You don't want to say what you did.
I slept with too many people, and everybody knew, and I was drinking Jack Daniels out of the bottle. Like it was just, that
hardcore
kind of shit.
Yeah.
Like very humiliating, and too many people knowing about that. And then I went back to DC, and I wrote 2 apology letters, like one to my brother, one to my other friend. And I was just so humiliated and so down. And so I was like, I need to go to a meeting. So I went to a sex addicts meeting in like outside of Washington, DC. And I took like my friend with me who was a virgin. Like this is just so classic.
Yeah.
And
why did you bring her?
Because she was my best friend. And they asked her when we both walked in, they're like, are you an addict? She's like, no. So she had to wait in the car. And it was like 20.
It was a closed SALA
20
meeting.
degrees
Right,
out.
right.
I'm like, the whole irony of this, me bringing a virgin to a sex addicts meeting is classic in the first place. But those meetings, they're just, it's too much.
A lot.
It's a lot. And they're all men. They were
not in Manhattan.
Okay, maybe
it's
not
wild.
now.
It's wild.
I went to some in Manhattan years later, and they were all men, and they're like looking at me.
Oh yeah, it's like bringing coke to a fucking NA meeting or something.
And I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah, it's wild. I went to 2 SALA meetings, and it was wild.
Yeah.
The first one I went to, there was a guy in my normal meeting, in my AA meeting, and he gave me. I don't know why this story is funny to me, but he gave me a free pass to hot yoga. Okay. And I'm not like a big candidate to do hot yoga, but I went and I was like, and I sweated and stuff. And it was crazy. It was right around here. And the SALA meeting was like on 30th Street or something. And I go up to and I'm all like sweating and stuff. And it was just like a trip because it wasn't just men. It was like, and everybody's looking at each other. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like you're Bugs Bunny on the desert island and everybody is like a pork chop now. And it's all like all these bottom lines. Like, I haven't had sex with a prostitute in 2 weeks, and I haven't masturbated to this kind of porn, and I haven't. And that's another kind of porn. Then it's not masturbating at all. It's a lot of bottom lines.
Yeah.
It's very complicated. It's fucked up though, because you can come on Dopey, and you can, fucking rob your dad, fucking. Hold somebody at gunpoint, shoot dope, do this, and you have this badge of honor, but you go to visit your brother at school and have sex with a few people and you're totally ashamed. And it's really interesting, that line. And what does it mean? And I'm not even sure what it means.
Oh, and by the way, that weekend destroyed my relationship with my brother to this day.
Really?
Yeah. So
older, younger brother?
He's younger. And I made amends to him. And listen, we speak a little bit, but we don't have it's completely destroyed our relationship.
Because of that.
Yes. And that's more on him because like, listen, I didn't murder anybody, and it's like he has a very hard time now. He looks at me a certain way. Like, I love my brother. I'm not saying anything bad, but like it really damaged our relationship to this, and that's my only sibling. So it, it wasn't a great thing.
How did you manage your compulsivity around sex as you?
Well, I think that I went to those meetings before I stopped drinking, if I recall correctly, right? So when I stopped drinking, 75% of that went out the window, because like it was sex and drinking go hand in hand. So, and the other thing was when I got sober, I all of a sudden realized, sadly, that I actually literally sort of like the person I was sleeping with, because alcohol makes it like you don't have to like them at all. And so that I was like, wait a second, this is like hard now. Like this is a whole new situation for me. So yeah, a lot of it just like went by the wayside. And
how did you manage? Like, I think sex addiction is a hard thing to talk about, and it's a hard thing to really comprehend because it's not the same as drug addiction or alcoholism. I think it's similar to gambling. Like, I think it's closest to gambling because that feeling of winning or that you're better because somebody is interested in you is so, I don't know, cerebral, psychological.
Yeah.
I think it's more psychological than physical, although the physicality is obviously a big piece of it. And then when we do a fourth and fifth step, sex inventory is a huge piece of it. So in the book, the book is very sexed out, right? The book is like high sex drive book. And you're cringing when I say that.
No, I'm not cringing. I'm just thinking, wow, I don't even think it was.
There's not a lot of sex in the book, but
yeah.
there's a lot of like, I want hot guys.
Right.
I want a lot of orgasms, like a lot of that kind of thing.
Right.
And before the last relapse, how on was the sex compulsivity?
Well,
without any judgment, by the way.
I don't even remember, but right before I moved to Miami, I lived in Delray Beach, Florida. It was, it wasn't bad. It was just like, I guess it wasn't, and I'm not the type of person that like goes out and like meets new people and takes them. Like, first of all, I don't even go out. Second of all, I don't drink, so for me, it's like mostly people I know or I've known for a really long time. Like I keep people around for a really long time.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
And you describe in the book, you show up in Miami, I guess, and like you went to a bar though?
No.
Where did the coconut guy show up?
A friend of mine was visiting from New York.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And she calls you.
She called me and she was a drunk and she had vanished for hours on a Saturday and telling me she was going shopping, and I knew she was drinking somewhere. And so she called me at like 4:30 on a Saturday and she said, "Hey, I'm at the bar across the street from your house. There's this really hot guy here. I want you to come meet him." And I was so mad at her for being just like disappearing basically the whole weekend. And I was like, "No, I'm not coming." And then she's like, "No, just come. I want you to meet him." And I'm like, "No."
How did she know him?
She met him at the bar.
Okay.
She was drinking and he was there. And by the way, it's 4:30 on a Saturday. So they were only two people there.
Right.
So finally I was like, all right, you know what? I have to walk my dogs. And it's literally across the street. So I'm like, fine, I'll just walk in. So I walk in and she introduces me to this guy and I was like, hi. Like I glanced at him for 3 seconds because I didn't care. And I was like, hey, how are you? And then I looked at her. I'm like, where the hell have you been? And then I turned back to him and he looks at me and he goes, come here. And so I walked over and I'm in the worst mood right now.
But aren't you wearing like some shirt that says hot girls get the blues or something?
It's a Depressed Hot Girl t-shirt.
Right.
Because I used to have a blog called Depressed Hot Girl. So I'm wearing that. So I walk over and he like sitting at the bar and I stand next to him and he pulls me into him like really close. And I'm like, my eyes are like 2 inches from his eyes and I'm looking in his face and I'm like, this guy's really hot. And like, he had like blue-green eyes. And I'm like, all of a sudden, like my tension just like fell off me. But like, he was so ballsy for doing that. Like, I don't know him. And he's like pulling me in and just looked me in the eyes. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, I want to fuck this guy. So that was it. And we just talked for a minute and he's like, let me get your number. And the story was, so we ended up hanging out and I ended up getting high with him, long story short. And that triggered, I had just moved.
Was he a crazy pothead?
Yeah.
And an alcoholic.
And an alcoholic.
And he had like a coconut tattooed on his ass or something.
Yeah, he sold coconuts. And
how many coconut salespeople do you think are in Florida right now?
that's the thing. Like, this story is just so amazing. And, you know, I went back home and I was like looking at his Facebook page. I mean, this was like 8 years ago. And it's like, was insane. It was like just like videos of him like jumping off cliffs backwards and videos of him skiing and being naked and jumping in pools like a maniac. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy's crazy, but cute. And he was also 14 years younger than me. And he
was a nice Jewish guy, right?
He's from Vermont.
Yeah.
And total refreshing character for me because he wasn't from New York and he doesn't give a shit about all those shit that people here care about. And he was just like this happy, carefree, great energy guy. And I'm like, wow, I like this. You know, I've never met anyone like this guy. And what also the funny, when I met him, he slept in a race car bed.
Why?
He was, how old was he when I met him? 32. He had a race car bed and he had a Zac Efron poster hanging above it. Because why not? Because he's crazy.
But that's like shtick, so that when he gets women home, he's like, "Look, I have a race car bed."
He's a clown.
Right.
You know, he just thought it was funny, and I was like, I was just laughing. I was just like, this is hysterical. Like, I love, you know, I love this. Anyway, so I wound up getting high with him, and that just spiraled me like that. I didn't know anyone in Miami. I just moved there 2 months ago, and I had just also like broken up with another guy like right before that, and I was depressed, and I just started smoking all the day, all night for 2 years.
And was that period of stonerdom way worse than
it was probably the worst one. And like, you know, the fact that I was very isolated. I live around the corner from an AA meeting in Miami. Never went. You know,
well, you're smoking bud.
Smoked by myself from the second I woke up to the second I went to sleep. I don't know what else I did. I watched my 600-pound life. I stared at the walls. All I did was smoke and smoke and smoke and smoke. And I met a girl who was also a stoner, so we did yoga together.
Did your dad support you then? Because I know what my father's going to say after this interview.
What?
This is what people say to me often. He's like, well, how did they afford this? How did they pay for this?
I've had money saved.
So you didn't need to be working?
No.
Okay.
And I used to work. I mean, I had my own business for 10 years, but not...
I'm not judging you.
That's okay. So, yeah.
My father's going to be like, what is this girl doing? Why isn't she working?
I know. I was so I just felt like I don't have kids. I had no responsibility.
Sure.
I wasn't working. I had a business that I basically ended when I moved out of Florida. I moved out of New York. So I was like new to the state, new to everything, knew nobody. And that was what I did. And I smoked and I was miserable and I was lethargic and I felt like I was dead. And I was 47.
What happened to the coconut guy?
I still saw him.
Okay, but I don't remember in the book it ever ending.
Yeah, no comment.
You're still with the coconut guy? You're still with the coconut guy?
We're friends.
Okay.
He messaged me last night.
Uh-huh.
But, you know, I kept him around. I'm like, he's not a bad guy. I don't have anything bad to say about him. We're friends, and for many years.
Can you chill with him when he's drinking and smoking?
Well, first of all, he's never not drinking. So I guess the proper way to say that is he's always drinking. But what's interesting about him is I've never met anybody like this. Like I accept him for who he is. He's not my boyfriend. He's not my problem. I'm not his mother. Like, he can do whatever he wants and he will, but I just know who he is. And he never, ever seems drunk. Like, if he walked in here right now, he might have 6 beers in him or whatever. You would never know.
Him and Brian together.
Right. Well, Brian's an animal when he drinks, but this guy is like, you can never tell he's drunk. I don't like to hang out with drunk people who are obviously invisibly drunk. To me, that's a big turn off. So no, this guy's just like, that's how he is.
So, well, he's an alcoholic. He's a functional alcoholic.
Yeah, he's a total functional alcoholic.
And you wound up going to treatment, and you're like seeking out the right treatment for you, and like going through all of these, like, it's a very funny part of the book where you're trying to like figure out where you should go for treatment. And like, you're going to go to one of these really fancy places with fucking views and massages and chefs, but you decide that's not going to get you sober.
Right. I had enough common sense and former knowledge to know that Yeah, I mean, I had nothing else to do at the time. I was like, I'm going to interview rehabs. You know, I took notes along the way with everything I did because somehow it just became entertaining. You know, calling all these rehabs and asking these ridiculous questions. I'm like, can I bring my dog? And they're like, no. I'm like, I would never bring my dog to rehab. Like, why am I asking them if I could bring a dog? You know?
Did you write an article about it? You should.
I actually should, but I should.
Early in Dopey, we had a guy prank call a rehab asking what he could bring, and he like said he was a farmer and he wanted to bring his sheep, and then there were like animal sounds in the background and all this stuff.
That's hysterical.
But how did treatment go? How did you know? Like, obviously you did it and you're still sober, and did you use after that?
Yeah, I did.
What happened? Another hot guy vaping.
I don't remember that one. I was
smoking
sober.
hash oil out of a chillum.
I think I was sober like a week short of a year after rehab, and I don't remember why or how I smoked, but that was very short lived. And then I traveled a little bit, and then I called a friend, and I was like, "Listen, I can't do this. Can you come stay with me for a week?" Because I was like, "I'm not going back to rehab." So I just
you didn't need to go. You smoked weed.
It's so funny when I went to rehab and I heard everybody's stories, which I write about in the book.
Yes.
When I heard, I think I even used the line, like when I heard people that are like, oh, well, this trans person who became my best friend.
Nicole in the book.
Excuse me. My best friend, the most entertaining.
Are you still friends?
No, she died. Yeah. So.
How'd she die?
OD.
What, fentanyl?
I don't know. So, but like these colorful characters, and everyone in rehab was like, half my age. But I remember hearing everyone's stories, and I'm like, this is like the second day, I'm like, oh my God, you don't have any problems. You better just get your shit together and go home. Like snap out of it.
Well, I think it's funny that you relapse after a year and you're like, I have to stop because I don't want to go back to rehab. But you didn't need to go to rehab. I think, and I say this with all respect, and obviously when you went, you needed to go because you went.
Yeah.
I've been to rehab many times, and I've been to detox like a million times.
Fun, right? Yeah.
I have mixed feelings about it.
Some people like it.
Yeah.
To me, it's like hell.
I have mixed feelings about rehab and detox. I know that I don't want to go now, right? When I would go, my life was so bad at that point in my life that it was nice to be with people. It was nice to have a reprieve from using.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like, that was the only time I ever had where I wasn't using. It was when I was in one of those places. And it's funny because I started watching Survivor with my older daughter, and it reminds me of rehab. Like, you're on the outs and you're trying to make friends and you're trying to like work with people so that you don't have to feel like you're alone. And it's like, I think a Survivor rehab show could be a thing, like for who doesn't leave. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I remember, but everything you said about it was like what I hate about it. Like for me to like come down from being high and then be like waking up in a foreign place with complete strangers and having to like enmesh yourself with them is like very stressful to me. I'm an introvert. I don't want to be like wake up in the morning after I was high for 2 years and be like, hey, what's your name?
Right.
I want to be the fuck alone. So it was very traumatizing for me.
No, I think the fact that
to be out of my environment and like the food and every little thing, it's just like.
No, I think that makes sense. I think the fact that I like take comfort in it is like a definite red flag against me.
I know people that are like, they love to be institutionalized.
I don't love to be institutionalized, but like I needed people and I didn't have them.
I did too.
I didn't have them.
I did too. I needed them. I didn't want them, but I needed them. So I remember thinking like, okay, you can sit in your room by yourself, but like that's
not the point.
That's not why you came here.
And in the book, you describe like you would sit with them smoking and you wouldn't smoke, but like you needed to sit with them smoking.
And I hate cigarettes and everybody smoked but me. And I was like, okay, so I'm probably get lung cancer from like secondhand smoke, but at least I won't be alone.
But I think that's a huge thing. And I didn't want it, and I certainly didn't want to need it, but whenever I got there, I was very taken with the stories. I was very taken with any sort of human interaction because it was always these stretches of no interaction.
Same, yeah.
So I needed the dynamics.
Yeah, and you bond with people so quickly, but it's just scary when you first get there.
Yeah, and let's say you don't bond with anybody for a day or 2 days or 3 days, those are long fucking days.
Those are the long, lonely days. And the first rehab I went to, I didn't like, I bonded with one guy, who was like also like bisexual, like club kid.
Right,
I
right,
picked
right.
like the most random people to like be my best friend, who's also like 20 years younger than me. Like, I don't know. I just bond with people like that.
And for a woman who might or might not be a sex and love addict, there was no rehab romance in the book. I was waiting. Where's the rehab
Believe
romance?
me, I'm sure I wouldn't have passed up on one if there was like
An opportunity.
Yeah.
But there wasn't.
No.
Did you ever have a rehab romance in any of your rehabs?
I only went to 2 rehabs.
And neither.
No, but the first one I told you when there was like the bisexual club kid, and he was like getting off Special K, and he had a girlfriend and a boyfriend, and this was years ago.
In the treatment center?
No,
That
but
would
like
be
in his real
awesome.
life, and like they didn't know about each other.
Right.
And like he came into and he was a cute kid, and he came into my room one night, and I'm like, should we fool around? Like we didn't even know what we were doing. No, but we didn't. But he was like a cutie. No rehab.
I think
romance.
you might not be a sex and love addict because you never had a rehab romance. I think this you can put on the
Is
asset.
that the
and
criteria?
you could put that in the asset column.
Ugh, at least I didn't do that. I mean, I got, I've some boundaries. It's only just because there was nobody, probably.
I don't know.
Should have went to promises. Maybe I could have.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. You find a catch over
Yeah.
there. I have another question, which is like the relapses you had are after long periods of recovery. And I've been hearing more and more people have this conversation that people hate the idea of having this time and then losing their time.
Yeah.
So they decide that maybe they're not going to mention it, or that they didn't lose their time or whatever. I'm of the belief that like you don't lose your time, but you start your day count over. But that's just the way I am, but obviously you learned so much the 7.5 years, the 8 years,
Right.
the year. What is your take on that whole conversation?
I talked about this recently because when I got sober, I was 26, and I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to relapse. And when I'm 50, whatever, I'm going to have 20 something years. Like that was how I thought. And then when I relapsed the first time, I was devastated that I, quote, lost my time. So, when I would relapse, I was like, well, I only have 3 days, so I might as well just go get high again, which is just like a stupid way. Now that I'm older and wiser, so that's how I felt. I was so upset, and it's such an ego thing. It's like my time.
Right.
And it's like, you know what? Like you just said, then as I got older and I couldn't stop for 5 minutes, I was like, I don't give a shit about my time. I want to be sober for 1 day. I will be happy to not be in this hell for 1 day. This is not an ego. This isn't a game. This is my life. So once I let go of that, when I'm talking about the last relapse, it's just like, please God, like give me 1 day. I don't care. And the truth is, it's like your time, like the way you just phrased it, I don't remember exactly. It's like, that's nonsense. You have today, and you don't lose the wisdom. You don't lose the knowledge.
the experience.
Right.
And you don't
So-
even have today. You only have this fucking second.
Right.
How many days did I get like hours, and then I'm like, I'm not doing it.
What does it matter? You're not going to win an award, and it's like you could be sober 20 years and be miserable. So
100%. You could be
Right.
sober 40 and relapse,
Right.
because you didn't have a program.
It's just, it doesn't mean anything. It's an ego thing. And like, I was just happy every day I got further away from using. I was like, great, I have a week. I was so happy I had a week, So that's how I dealt with it. But to look at it like that, I was young, and I was like, oh my God, my time. It's don't look at it that way, but just be happy you're a sober person. That's it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think this has been very, very illuminating. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Well, that's like a loaded question.
I don't know. Maybe there's something you want to add. Is there anything that you feel like we didn't talk about that we should?
The only thing I like to say, my book is about being addicted to weed, which is, I don't want to say controversial, but what I want to share is the thing that I know weed is like, it's legal now. It's this, people use it for everything, anxiety, sleep. And I think a lot of people, are, addicts who are doing that. That's my opinion. But I think that, and people make light of it, but if you can smoke weed and you enjoy it, or it helps you with XYZ, and you
you're
have
not
fun,
compulsive.
right? But for some, because people are like, oh my God, she smoked weed. Like, no, I smoked weed 24/7. So people are not going to have, to relate to that. That's different than getting high once in a while.
And you weren't like a hippie.
No, I'm like the opposite of hippie, but
And you weren't like sitting around listening to reggae music.
not at all.
What were you listening to?
And people used to think like I was a coke addict. Like I don't know where the rumor got started, but like I'm like I've never tried coke in my life. I don't know. It's because I'm thin. People think I do coke.
No, because you have like this sort of like upscale vibe.
Right.
You don't have a stoner vibe.
Exactly.
But unless you are a stoner, in which case you can imagine you're just a weird compulsive pot smoking woman.
I like being chill. Like I don't want to be wired, But so yeah, it is like if I knew me, even I know me, and I'm like I'm shocked I wasn't a coke addict.
Well, it's if you dressed a little grungier, dirtier, hippier,
Right, but
everyone would know.
Right.
But because you didn't,
I don't.
they would assume that you did coke
Yeah,
because you're like you have your shit together.
Totally.
And most stoners kind of don't. Although some do, But you're really a committed stoner, which I appreciate.
Okay.
I appreciate you smoke 24/7 forever.
Disgusting. And now I'm worried about my lungs.
Are you? And you're disgusted about my fantasy, my old stoner Allman Brothers fantasy.
No, I hear a lot of people talk about that. We used
Does
to
it
talk,
annoy-
we used
annoys
to
you?
talk about it when I was first. Oh, when we're this age, we're going to get high, and I don't think it's ever going to be good at any point, to be honest.
You don't think for me, when I'm old, I'll like it better than I like being sober?
It's not that. Like, what are you going to do? I don't know.
I'm going to listen
Just
to
gonna
the
sit
Allman
in the chair
Brothers.
and
and-
smoke
yeah,
and
yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
Listen, whatever you.
No, listen. You're right. I think it's funny, like to talk about.
Right.
The truth is, and I say this all the time, and I want to hear if this is your experience as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like fucking high all day. Sober. Like I feel like people look at me, they ask me if I'm stoned all the time. I have this kind of permanent stoned thing. And when I first stopped smoking weed, like my time, like this run of sobriety is basically off of weed. I stopped doing heroin a little while longer. Maybe the last time I did heroin was 10 or 11 years ago. And that was one time. And then before that was another 2 or 3 years before I was addicted to it, whatever. So it's been a long time since I did heroin. When I got sober, it was off of weed and I missed it. And I remember I would pantomime like having a roach between my thumb and my fingers and like hit it.
Right.
And I could feel high.
I watch people in movies, like if someone's smoking a joint or a cigarette, I feel like I'm the one inhaling. Like I watch them inhale and I physically feel what that feels like. Yeah, it's crazy. But I haven't drank in almost 27 years.
There you go.
Thought I put that
so
out.
on none of those relapses did you have a drink?
No.
Why not?
No interest.
Because that would fucking destroy you.
Me.
See, I was talking to a friend of mine who's like horrible alcoholic, and he used to do a lot of drugs. And I was asking, and I think he just got a year, which was a miracle, like this guy. And I was telling him about like my weird stoner fantasies, and I don't even know why. I don't really have them. I'm not like compulsively waiting to smoke weed. I just think it's funny to have a stoner fantasy. I think, and I love stoners. And he was like, I was like, do you have any fantasies about drinking? And he was like, maybe I have fantasies about smoking weed, but drinking was so fucking poisonous and toxic. And that's the interesting thing. It's like weed is not like that. Weed is not like heroin or coke or crystal meth or alcohol in that it will toxically destroy you. It is, however, innocuous and sucks the life out of you
100%.
exactly the way you described.
I think I switched from like alcohol to weed at a certain point because it made me calm and quiet. Like I'm not dancing on a table.
Right.
And I'm like, first physically, my stomach was a wreck, and just the physical stuff with alcohol is so awful. But I'm just like, I literally think alcohol is poison for me, and there's not one good thing that would come out of me having a drink. Not one.
But you also were never like on benzos. Like, were you ever addicted to?
I was terrified of pills because I've seen the detox. I've seen people detox off pills. I'm like, I will never take pills.
See, I found that. So I think you have a similar, biochemical makeup that I do, only that I really got into pills. Like, and I really got into benzos and it did for me exactly what weed did, but way more. And I can tell that the weed is an anti-anxiety for you.
It's an but it's a depressant.
Right. And you're prone to depression as well.
So I'm like, this makes zero sense. None of it made sense.
You don't like the way this is ending. I can tell. I can tell.
No, this is good.
How do we end it? How do we end it on a good note?
This is
no, I think it's
keep me
important
sober.
because listen, I don't think I was prone to depression. I've never had a life, a 10th good as my life is now when I was using, like not even close. And the greatest thing I have in my life is potential, possibility.
Of course.
And all that shit is sucked out. And like, I mean, that's why my fantasy involves me being too old to have any potential.
So funny. Yeah, like when you're getting high, like if I accomplished the littlest thing when I was getting high, I was like, I can do it. I can do it and be high. Like, I just want to say like how so many addicts are like, oh, it makes me so creative. And, that's just an excuse.
When I was in my last run, I was pretty creative.
I'm not saying I wasn't, but like, there's so much. It's not a reason to stay high. The negatives outweigh the positives.
And I'm not here.
If you're creative, you're going to be creative no matter what.
No, me creative on bud.
I thought the sex was amazing. I'm like, I'm never going to give up weed because the orgasms are so great. Literally, I was like, I'm never going to stop. And I'm like, you're going to stop because your whole life is a fucking disaster.
So were the orgasms as good?
Yes.
Okay.
Should we end on that?
We could, but I wanted to say one other thing, which was that when I was in because like I think I'm in my most creative phase of my life right now. I mean, I have to put out a fucking show every week, and I'm like ridiculously invested in this process, and I really love it. And the last weed run, I did a web series, and I did 3 episodes of that in a year. And it's like the amount of ability to produce. It's like I can do like 100th if I'm stoned. If I'm smoking the way you and I smoke. And I think, let's end on the orgasm thing. Are the orgasms as good now as they were when you were high?
They're better.
All right. Thank you. All right. That was fucking Pam Gaslow. What'd you think?
Pam Gaslow, fucking what I think?
Yeah.
Long Island. Shout out to Long Island. Shout out to the fucking vibrating toothbrush. Shout out to not having an orgasm in 16 days.
Isn't it interesting, though, the idea of just being on bud?
Yeah, I good on her.
Have you encountered any people who are just total potheads, never went to anything else, and got to a state where they needed help for it?
That's crazy to me. It is crazy to me. She was a big drinker too.
She was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
She was a bad alcoholic, but she beat that. And then the real thing that really boggled my mind is she got 7.5 years and she relapsed. And I have 7.5 years now. Then she got 8 years and she relapsed.
That's crazy. It's
and
crazy.
Then she got another 3 years and here she is. And it's like,
that's crazy. I think it's funny how she was writing her goodbye letter to Bud and you were writing it to heroin.
Yeah, missing my bud. And like, but I think like really what it comes down to is like, what do you do to take yourself out of your head? And
it's true.
And Pam drank and she smoked weed and she dealt with dudes.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, we've never talked about your potential as a sex addict.
Nah.
You're making a face. You don't like this stuff. You don't want to deal with that.
I don't think, yeah.
Well, we've actually talked about this.
We've talked a bit.
You've definitely used sex to not connect yourself
on
with
that
yourself.
On that respect. Like, I can see why you can be fucking like need help for smoking weed or need help for fucking
gambling
or sex.
You're like Stefan. I'm just sex.
Yeah, I can see it because it does. It's just doing the same trick. Maybe not as fucking crazily, but it's like doing like a basic same trick.
The trick is, it makes you feel accepted. It makes you feel cool. It makes you love yourself when you hate yourself, which I know you can relate to that. Fucking
hell yeah.
So
this is what fucking meeting is. This is morphed your brain, huh? You're able to say shit like that because of your fucking program. You know that? You're a fucking wisdomatic. You like that word? You're a wisdomatic guy.
You love me because I'm funny and have a little bit of wisdom, but I'm telling you, I only have anything because I have a little bit of time. You have fucking like a 12 hours.
12 hours.
Stack that up a little bit and you will have wisdom too.
I doubt it. Not like you.
Yes, you will. Another important thing that people have to know is if you want to support Dopey, you sign up for fucking Patreon.
It's a must.
Because Patreon, there's tons of extra stuff. There was even extra you stuff one week.
$1 or something.
You can spend $1 and get a lot of access to extra stuff. Just fucking go to www.patreon.com/Dopey Podcast. And now I want you to hear a voicemail.
Okay.
You want to hear a voicemail?
I'm not sure.
Why not? It's not
I'm always timid when you ask for one of your
That's because of
things.
that guy who said you were a piece of shit. It's totally traumatized you, right? It totally traumatized you.
Can't even. Yeah, PTSD.
Hey, what's up, Dave, dude? My name is Sam. I'm calling in this dopey story from about this time last year. It's kind of a fucking long one, so I'm just going to jump right into it, man. It's this one night, it's about like 10 p.m., and my phone starts blowing up, dude. It's the plug. He's telling me I need to get the fuck downtown right now to pay him back for this front. You know, I'm like, all right, no big deal, dude. You know me, I'm on the way, but my car's in the shop. So I line up a couple of fucking stops while I'm down there to make some money and hop in an Uber. I pack my backpack up because I know it's going to be a long night, right? Anyways, I take the Uber downtown San Diego. I get to the fucking hotel. I'm like waiting for this dude to answer the phone, but he never does, dude. I'm like, damn, the motherfucker finally fell asleep probably. You know, he's been awake for weeks and now he's asleep, bro. Now that I'm here, I'm standing in the fucking hood, dude. I got a backpack full of fucking cash, Xanax, crystal. I'm like, fuck this, dude. I need to keep it rolling. So I call up this dude who needs a zip. He comes and picks me up. Gives me a ride to the next location, right? Which is this fucking gay orgy, which is not my scene, but you know, I'm happy for the boys having a good time. I pop in and out real quick because I'm fucking missing the liter of G that they wanted from me, right? So I give the dudes the other shit they need and I fucking keep it rolling, dude. Now I pop back out on the streets. I'm at this, I need somewhere to go. So I hit up this little Mexican restaurant. I'm eating a burrito. And I'm waiting for my chick to come give me a ride. While I'm eating the burrito, dude, I start fucking hanging out with this chick who's smoking fentanyl in the corner down there, right? And it turns out she's Aryan Brotherhood and her brothers are going to help me out get the fucking G that I need, you know? So now I'm kind of fucking attached to this girl because I need her to help me out so I can finish my previous stop, right? Anyways, my girl gets down there and to pick me up and I ask her like, hey, can we give this girl a ride? And she's like, yeah. So now I'm driving my girl's car. My girl's in the passenger seat. This Aryan Brotherhood chick is in the back with her two fucking big ass pit bulls, dude. Anyways, we go to make the next stop, which is a bottle of Xanax to the older homie in the Bloods, right? And I get there. He's outside with his pit bull, fucking dog barking at this other girl's pit bulls. So I got the Bloods and the Aryan Brotherhood pit bulls fucking barking each other down and shit. And like the Blood homie's like, yo, tell her to get her pits out the car. I'm like, fuck this shit, dude. Let's keep it rolling. So I get back in the car and we fucking go to drop off this Aryan Brotherhood chick since her brothers aren't answering. I can't get the G. Anyways, I take her to her stop, but there's no one fucking there. And so I'm like, damn, dude, I don't want to leave her high and dry. So we all get a hotel room. Me and my girl are fucking smoking crystal, fucking having sex. And we're just like hoping that this chick's going to join in, right? But all the while she's just crying into her phone, smoking fentanyl, texting her ex. And when the sun comes up, dude, I look over and I mean, I know who I'm rolling with, but I did not expect to see the Aryan Brotherhood chick with a massive swastika on her chest, dude. Anyways, sun's up now. I'm like, fuck this. I'm trying to go home. Also, probably should see the plug now that it's the morning time, right? So me and my girl leave the Aryan Brotherhood chick in the hotel there. We pop over to my plug's house where I pay the dude back for everything. And I grab the G that I was supposed to bring to the fucking gay orgy, right? So now I'm driving my girl's car. We're all fucking loaded up. We just got to make this one last stop to finish off this fucking horrible night of missions, right? But he's not answering, dude, the dude who needs the G, right? So I'm like, what the fuck, man? Anyways, it's time to go home, dude. I'm like, fuck this. So I'm like, as I'm about to hit the freeway and drive home, my girl has a little freak out when she realizes like how much fucking crystal we're rolling with, you know, like a half pound or whatever plus everything else. And she fucking hops out of her own car at a stoplight. So now I'm in a panic thinking she's going to call her a car in stolen and shit, but I don't know what to do. So like, I'm like, fuck this, dude. I just keep it mobbing, dude. I keep taking the freeway all the way back home, like 45 minutes. I park her car at a CVS, like a drugstore down the way, go back into my apartment and fucking try to relax. Eventually she shows up like an hour and a half later. She took the train all the way up there. And she comes in my apartment and, you know, while I'm trying to just like unwind it, you know, but everything's going wrong. And of course, like the ultimate fucking thing going wrong is that I get a call from this dude who the dude who needed the G, right? His ex-husband called me, tells me that he just fucking died in that hotel room that night, dude. Fucking having a gay orgy with the bros. which I guess is probably how he might have wanted to go out, but I guess not really. Anyways, like that was a real fucked up night because it was just long. It was exhausting, but it was honestly pretty typical of like everything that was going around and like the way I was living my life. You know, it was nothing out of the ordinary, just like something I can remember because it all happened in a 24-hour span. Anyways, I hope there's not too much noise because I'm recording this shit by the beach right now in Indonesia. Anyways, take care, brother. I hope you're doing well. Much love, Dave, and toodles for Chris. Stay strong, Dopey Nation.
See, that's like a classic Fentanyl Jay kind of dopey
That's
story.
a dopey story right there.
That's a lot. There's a lot of stuff happening.
Lots
there.
to unpack. Shout out to the bros.
Shout out to the gay orgy.
Yeah.
Amazing. And I bet you can relate to that experience.
Oh, definitely.
You've been in situations with like 10
definitely.
stops.
Definitely.
And that's Sam. And
Very relatable.
And now he's in Indonesia, chilling by the beach.
Fuck yeah, Sam. Good on you, cuz.
This has been a high-paced, action-packed episode of Dopey. Before we go, I would like to go back. I want to do two things. First thing, the last time you hit your neck with crack. Do you remember it?
I don't remember the last time, but I remember when I used to do it all the time. I do. I was in fucking Pompano Beach in Florida.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Shout out to Pompano.
Big shout out to Pompano Beach. Best crack in the world. So
What'd you say?
Best crack in the world.
Why? That's the best crack in the world?
Think so. I don't know.
Pompano
I haven't
crack
been to
beats-
the world, but
Pompano crack beats Long Island crack.
oh,
And San Diego
levels.
crack.
Levels.
And Arizona crack.
Levels.
But Pompano specifically.
Pompano.
There's a guy who listens to the show from Pompano named Scott Wick.
Yeah.
Shout out to Wick.
Big Scott.
I don't know if he smoked any crack in Pompano. He was a crazy cokehead. I wonder if Scott Wick, is that true? Is that
No,
is that a legend?
It was just
Pompano
fucking
crack.
the best.
All right,
bro.
so back to Pompano.
So I'd fucking go, if you're from Pompano, Scott Wick, you know where the fuck I'm talking about. I'd go on Sample Road. There's a little Wawa right on the corner. I'd keep going.
Shout out to Wawa.
Big shout out to Wawa. We need those. I'd fucking cross over to the west side of the train tracks. And you know what goes on in Pompano, west side of the train tracks, you know? Crystal Lakes, fucking Golden Arches. I go to those projects and I'd fucking get cracking. I mean, I've done some other crazy shit for those fucking Haitian motherfuckers down there. Like fucking crazy shit.
Give us the number one before we go.
What I've done for these Haitian motherfuckers?
Yes.
I've done
I can
some
tell.
crazy shit.
I can tell something
I got
better
into,
is coming.
I got into
for
some
that.
business down there too. You know, it was hard to crack into business down there, but I cracked into the business down there because I became friends with a lot of people. You know, that was like before. That's like when I started really getting a lot of pills, and I was able to transport them across the country. You know, I started getting business down there. At one point in time, this guy, if you notice, every fucking like hood rat, like Haitian dude down there, they'll give, if they don't know you very well, they'll give you like a white ass name. They'll be like, what's your name? They'll be like Steven or Brandon or fucking Joey or
Timothy.
something. Yeah, exactly. All of them. So this one's name was Brandon. I called him Brando. Bro, he would lay out places like of other, I guess, other drug dealers, other rival gang, I don't know, people that he didn't like. And he'd lay out places for like me, one of my homies, Matt, his little brother, like this kid. We'd all go and we'd fucking rob him. We'd all have guns.
He'd send you on a
He'd
mission to
send
go
us on
rob
missions to
rival
go
dealers.
rob all the other dealers. Yeah. And because he couldn't do it.
So who would be in the crew?
So he couldn't do it. It'd be me, one of my homeboys, Matt, his little brother. I don't know if it was actually his little brother, but
So
he
it
said
wasn't
was
an
his
all
little
Haitian
brother.
crew.
No.
It was a non-Haitian crew.
Well, his crew was all Haitian crew, but
he
then
would-
I'd bring my homeboy in, and then he'd have a couple of his.
So he would be like subcontracting to the non-Haitian, so it couldn't go back to
so
him.
it's not fucking with him. Yeah, exactly. So then, and I'm like, fuck it, bro. I'm with everything. I don't care. And it's not. And he was so like.
Did you wear
fucking big
Did you
time.
tie a bandana?
I've bandanaed. I've hat low bandana. This was before like ski masks were a thing. This was before COVID. This was like before ski masks were still a thing, but like it wasn't like fucking prevalent like they are now.
Worst situation that happened.
I fucking ran inside this house, kicked the door open.
High. You're
High as fuck. Just high, just like regular high, actually.
Pompano crack
Not
high?
like crazy. No, like fucking couple pills, like fucking chilling high. Crack was like an endeavor that I do because I was with this chick, Kate, who liked to smoke crack.
We've heard about Kate.
Yeah. She liked that shit.
You used
And-
to blow coke up Kate's asshole. If I
yeah,
remember.
meth and
Yeah.
injected in there. Yeah, we've done all sorts of shit,
Yes.
crazy shit. She liked to smoke crack. I didn't even like crack at all. I like fucking downers and coke sometimes, but I'd inject coke, you know. So this goes back to the crack. So every day, this is when we were bad, you know, because we had money and we were doing lots of drugs. So this is when we were bad. We'd fucking ride around down there. I'd fucking go to the west side of the tracks on Pompano. There's a little IHOP over there, right before you cross over. There's also this, I forget what it's called, this little piece of shit gas station on the south side of Sample Road. It's like a little red gas station, right, not too far in. Fucking, I'd get the crack right there. I'd go down that block. She'd smoke her shit. She'd smoke it. I'd fucking put it in the cap. I'd go get like lemon juice or lime juice from Wawa. Fucking put that shit in there. Fucking draw it up in the needle, and then I'd start driving, right? And when I'm driving, that's when and I'm a vascular guy, you know. Like I've never had a tie off ever. Like I'm just a vascular dude, you know. So I'd be like, all right, Kate. And I'd like hold my breath. I'd be like, all right, fucking hit me, bro. Hit me. And I'd just be driving, right?
And Kate would hit you.
Hit me in my neck. I could do it too, but I'm driving, you know? So that's crazy. This is all crazy. You shouldn't fucking inject crack while driving. But if you are, have your fucking homeboy do it or your homegirl. Have someone do it. Don't do it yourself.
Have you ever hit yourself while you were driving?
Definitely. In the neck? No. The neck's tough, but like anywhere else, fucking every day.
So Kate's hitting you in the neck.
She hit me in the neck, right?
But that's on the robbery run?
No. This is just regular. Okay. This is just like regular shit. I'll spin back there, I guess. But yeah, I fucking would have her clap my neck, and then before I know it, I'd be like, all my breath would be gone, right? One time she did it, and whatever we got.
What do you mean clap your neck?
Fucking jab me, you know? And no matter what I got, bro, if it was $20, $40, I didn't get a lot of crack. She got a lot of crack, you know? I just get like a little bit that I could do or whatever. I'd always want something. Yes. Yeah, I'm not going to go by with nothing, you know? One time, I'm fucking driving. I had a Honda Accord down there, a V6 little Honda Accord. I'm fucking driving, fucking jam me, bro. Immediate fucking vomit everywhere, all over myself, all over my lap, bro. And now I'm so fucking high that I'm getting tunnel vision. Like if you do too much, like a lot of crack, you'll get tunnel vision. Literally, like tunnel vision. Like all you see is like
the
getting
distance.
smaller and smaller and smaller. And I'm like, fuck, and I'm trying to grab the wheel and I'm just like slipping and fucking puke. It was disgusting. But I was like, holy shit, I was so fucking high, bro.
I feel like you threw up in the last story too.
I probably did.
The strawberry smoothies from McDonald's.
No, that shit just splashed me.
Oh no, you just
that shit splashed
There's always
me
something
hard. Yeah.
But so I want to hear what happened when you're doing these invasions.
Oh well, a lot of them were just smooth, honestly, but one of them wasn't so smooth.
What was the worst?
So the worst one was when I was with my homeboy Matt. I was with two other kids. Fuck, I can't even remember. This is like 5 years ago. I can't even remember the name. We fucking go in. We kick down this door. Or no. We had one kid knock on the door. Right, a kid that like a drug addict, like kid that knows him, knocks on the door. When they see it was him, they opened up the door for him. Boom. Then we kicked down. Then we kicked the door open, you know, and all ran with guns. But this kid had a gun in his hand, like for someone that was fucking opening the door. He didn't know who it was. Anyway, right?
The door guy.
Yeah.
On the other side of the door.
On the other side of the door.
Yeah.
So the fucking guy, when we kick open the door, it like fucking pushes the whole door back into him, you know? So it kind of like falls back.
You had a moment of advantage.
Yeah. As he's falling, we hear shots go off. Boom, 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 boom. We're like, oh, fuck. So immediately my homeboy Trey goes over there and fucking
pistol whips him?
Like, it wasn't a pistol. It was like, it wasn't a shotgun either. It was like it was like a fucking, you'd call it a Draco, like a fucking automatic, like basically an automatic. Yeah, but a little one. It's hard. It's like a little one. He bops him right in this shit. Probably knocks his teeth out, like real bad, because this kid's like KO, unconscious, whatever. There's a girl inside. They're like, oh, where's the fucking, you know, where's it? There's shit on the table. We're like, oh, where is everything? Where's the fucking dope? Where's the fentanyl? Where's the money? Where's the drugs? Where's the coke? Whatever. We get everything we could. This all happened.
What do you think you got out of there?
This all happened so fucking fast. When I get out of it,
what do you think you took out of the spot?
Like how much? Tens of thousands.
Really?
Yeah.
How fast?
Over 10,000. We're out in 4 minutes.
And what are you saying?
Now at this point, there's only we suspected there was only that girl there, right? And the kid that's knocked out, right? So we gather everything up, over 10,000, easily over $10,000 of stuff. And like I said,
what do you say to those people in the apartment?
Fucking lay down and stay down, you know, like fucking moving, I'll fucking blow your brains out, like literally, like yeah, that kind of shit, that kind of shit, like. Nah, like it's like sometimes like not me, but like the people I'm with will just just to show that they mean fucking business. They'll fucking clap somebody, you know.
Right.
Also, when I got robbed in California, I got fucking clapped up pretty good. I think I showed you that fucking video with my eyes all fucked up. Yeah, so that's a story for another day. It's a fucking good one.
All right, so you
we
get
get
out of
all
there
the shit,
fast.
right? Yeah, we're in and out, right? Before we make it to the car, from what I guess now, I didn't know this at the time, there was another guy in the house that we didn't fucking know. We didn't like sweep it, you know?
Right.
There's another guy in the house. So then he comes out fucking shooting at the car. And now we're fucking freaking out because shots already went off. We're afraid of the cops. Luckily, it's like fucking everything was within a 5-minute drive, a 7-minute drive of where we're going back to. Every time we did it, it's like all fairly local stuff.
Who you were.
Never called back. But when he was shooting out at the car, he shot out a tire. He shot out the tire. So now the wheel is cranked like this way, like to go straight. Because if you blow out a tire and you're riding on a rim, that's what happens. Your shit like turns a little bit. So we're like, oh fuck. Now we're all freaking out. Like, is anyone here? Is anyone here? We drive however many minutes it was, 7 minutes, all on this fucked up tire because we're not fucking stopping. Now we've got fucking massive amount of drugs in the car, massive amount of drugs, guns in the car, fucking whatever. But then, like I said, we thought we were in and out.
You're not going to stop to change your tire.
What's up? Yeah, you know? We thought this kid was fucking KO, you know? We thought we were good. We're fucking like basically calm. Not calm because your adrenaline's racing, but like, right, we're good.
Won.
Yeah,
Victory.
It's done. Cool. And then then all of a sudden, like, before we even make it in the car, we start hearing the fucking gunshots. And we're like, oh, fuck. Like, this just started up again. Now we're
in, like,
fried.
pursuit?
What? No. They just ran outside shooting, I guess. No one got shot or anything at the time, which was good.
Crazy.
Yeah, but fucking, yeah. And like
And
I
then
said,
you
the
went-
guy
and
that
then-
put us up to it didn't even want anything. He just wanted us to rob them.
And then you kept everything.
We split it up amongst ourselves. I think he kept the cash. I think we kept everything else.
All right, I've got a couple questions. Question number one, how does it make you feel to tell these stories now? Because it gets you fucking jacked
It's
up.
like reminiscent.
I swear to God, if somebody, like Linda and Susan just walked into our house while you were telling the story, and when Susan came in and Linda came in, you were jacked the fuck up.
Was I jacked?
Yeah, and I could imagine that
Because I'm like
might-
reliving it in my
Right.
brain, you know?
And then, but the more important question is, because you've done all this stuff, how difficult does it make you think you can live differently?
That's how difficult does it? And not like it was fun, but it was fun.
It was fun, but it was also, you were addicted to this lifestyle.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
And I think, knowing you pretty well, that it's like you don't think that you can do anything else.
That's what it is. That's the prevention. That's what it's like, what else? What else? You know, what else?
I don't think it's like, I don't think you want to be older than you were doing shit like
No, I don't want
that.
to be as old as I am now.
I feel like it's more like you can't be the same person that did that and do something good.
What else do I know? True. For a long time. That was the major. That's why I never had a job in my life. That's why where I'm working now is my first job. I've had it for like
I know, but
10 months.
But they fucking you excelled to the point where they promoted you to manage the place within 10 months, and you drinking like a degenerate fucking total alcoholic. So like
I transferred a lot of skills into this job though. A lot of people skills, a lot of fucking
billion percent.
get to the top skills fast, you know?
But that's what I'm talking about, bigger picture.
Yeah.
And I want you to realize that you can be somebody else. That just because you did one thing doesn't mean you can't be somebody else. Me
Yeah.
and Jay are fucking sitting in my dining room.
Yo.
My fucking 4-year-old runs in, throws her arms around Jay. My beautiful fucking wife comes in, so happy to see Jay. And like, Jay, I was strung out on methadone, fucking alone, broke. I was never in gunfights, but I was a fucking waste of a human being just on drugs. And now I have this beautiful
You
life
do have a beautiful life.
only because I got sober.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I had some skills here and there that translated to this
Yeah,
and that,
yeah,
but it's
yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah,
it's
it's
the
true.
same story. And I don't want to be like, I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
do
but
want to
it's
be
true.
like, I was fucked. You know,
Yeah.
you don't know me when I was fucked,
Yeah,
but I was fucked.
I can picture. There's some people that I can't even picture
Right.
being fucked though. I can picture you,
can
being.
Somebody else once said that. to me.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And listen, I love it when you come on the show.
Oh, I love being here.
Tonight, you say you're going to go drink fucking tequila, the last kiss goodnight. I say don't. I say you've had
All right.
enough last kisses goodnight. And then next time you come on the show, you're counting days again.
Yep.
And we're planning like spiritual alignment.
Yeah, spiritual alignment's gonna be huge.
Fuck that shit. Like, let's get there.
Fucking get to it.
Let's get there. Jay, thank you. Thank you,
babe.
Pam Gaslow.
Thanks, Pam.
check out, go buy the book. Don't bring your vibrator to rehab.
Don't do it.
And next week, you're going to be back with some time.
Yep.
You're down?
I'm down.
You're making a commitment?
I'm down.
The whole enchilada?
The whole fucking 95% of the
We're
enchilada.
doing the enchilada.
The full thing?
Yes.
All right.
Stay strong, Dopey Nation, and fucking toodles for Chris.
Toodles.
I wanna take a walk around the world. I wonder would it do me any good? Until I get some money in my pocket, then I guess I'll just have to walk around my neighborhood. But I wanna be good so bad. Wanna be so good, so bad, so bad. I wanna be good so bad. Bad desire's all I ever had. And I wanna take a ride up in the sky. Watch this aeroplane just pass me by. And I wanna see a Lear jetliner take a dive, just to show all of these people what it means to be alive. But I wanna be good so bad. Wanna be so good, so bad, so bad. I wanna be good so bad. Bad desire's all I ever had. And my shadow's getting smaller and smaller. And it's time to where I stand. Shadow's getting smaller and smaller. And it's time to where I stand. And I wonder would they pay it any mind when I leave this busted city far behind. I'll take the high road, however far it winds, because peace and love are very, very, very hard to find. And I wanna be good so bad. Wanna be good so bad, so bad. I wanna be good so bad. Bad desire's all I ever had. Damn it, all these suckers make me mad. And it's all I ever had. And it's all I ever had. And these suckers make me mad, and I wanna call my dad. And it's all I ever had. 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 And these suckers make me mad, and it's all I ever had. And I wanna call my dad. And it's all I ever had. And it's all I ever had. And it's all I ever had.